All set to go, the 1995 SANFL season about to get underway, and what a wonderful game this should be between two top sides. The Premiers up against Glenelg, and we've seen some wonderful contests between these two sides, some very physical contests over the last 2 or 3 years. I wonder if we'll get that tonight. Another bounce in the centre. McCulley wins the tap. It goes wide of the pack. A chance now for Lees, who gets the hand pass to Carter. In trouble, got one too high. Dean just erring there, and Carter at halfback. Slips out the hand pass to Roger Delaney, now clearing it away toward the wing. Well, bad miss down there by Hutton. He's generally pretty good with the hands. Visca comes away, and from the wing, bangs it up toward right half forward. A pack develops. 2 hands go up. No mark taken. Bailey, a query over him. He did injure his back last week against Port Adelaide. A chance now for McGuinness. Long kick, left half forward. Good mark. Good start here. Hallahan.
Well, Hallahan, recruited back from Victor Harbour after playing 74 games for the Bays, has taken a great grab in the forward pocket and should notch up the Bays first for the season and first for the game.
Paul Hallahan, 35 metres out. Pretty good kick. He's certainly got the distance okay, but he's missed to the right-hand side. Glenelg are 1 behind. The Magpies yet to score.
Just earlier on there that if the Bays got any chance of winning this game, they have to, or Bartlett has to contain number 7 in Delaney running the ball out.
Port Adelaide a chance now. They bring it into Darcy. The run and overlap from Meads, all right. Fends off with one hand and then tracks across halfback, puts it out towards centre wing. Not a bad sort of a mark. Beautiful mark, in fact. Taken on the far side by Crow and Paul Rouvray. Hands off to McGuinness. The run comes from the back to Healy, comes to the close side of the ground and has got Brett Dean. Now we'll see a bit of this through the air from the Tigers. Plenty of runners. McCulley provides protection. Dean goes inside the 50-metre line. Here's Caldo. Good spoil away. Comes down towards Carter. Hallahan's there again. If he can get over the top, he does. Here's a chance for Chiggy. One step. Beautiful kick. Great kick, Nicholas. And the Tigers are away. They get away to 1-1 and Port are yet to score.
Well, I was saying earlier, Hallahan took a great grab, and I was a bit worried about him coming back into the fray of SANFL football after playing down in Victor Harbour, but he's done 2 magnificent things with his first 2 touches and set up the captain in Chig Whitten, and he made no mistake.
Good start for Glenelg. First goal of the 1995 season. Very hollow for some reason. Back in the centre. McCulley in from the left. Ryan from the right. McCulley wearing the gloves, as you can plainly see. Williams in the middle. And just gives it over to the umpire. Another bounce. Good crowd. They've built up late, something like 10, perhaps up to 12 or 13,000. Bailey, back he goes to Dean. Now a forward hand pass, putting his teammates under pressure. Awkward one there for Kretschmer, gets the hand pass moving. Now Chig Whitten, infield he goes. This is McGuinness. Good penetration by McGuinness, getting back and taking the markers. Hallahan, interesting ploy there. I wonder whether they're looking for Caldo or Hallahan. I guess they're looking for both, Michael.
Well, Hallahan is certainly providing a beautiful fall for him, and he puts through the Bay second. But I tell you what, just before then, that work on the wing where they shepherded Waterhouse out set up the goal for the Glenelg.
Every good chance to see a lot of that throughout the year. We've got Heel, Kretschmer's back into the side. An eye injury last year saw him miss much of the 94 season. Chig Whitten's a good runner. McGuinness is a great runner. And we'll see plenty of that throughout the season. They've started, interestingly, Glenelg, with a couple of centre-half forwards, it would seem. They've got Jim West and Bartlett working through that area, and a couple of speedy lurkers alongside. So a good setup from Glenelg early in this first game of the season.
Tough start for Brian Benke on Hallahan. 2-1 to no score. So a dream start here for the Bays. Chiggy runs onto the bouncing ball, then loses it. Opportunity again for him. Well done. Gets it to Dean. Dean swings it around the corner, and it falls into the waiting arms of Delaney, who swings it very wide to the half-back flank, finds his skipper. 250 games, Timmy Ginniver. Well done. Gets around the oncoming Chig Whitten, slips out the hand pass to Northeast. Back he goes to Roger, to the Dodger, who got into trouble there by Bailey. Bailey goes in again onto the second man. Good hand pass infield though. Here's Glenelg again, heel up to West. West had to wait for it. He had to wait an age, but they weren't coming quick enough, and West has taken a mark 40 metres out.
Well, Jim West played a lot of footy, played at AFL level, but he's got that mark thanks to the great work by Caldo.
About 45 metres out, big Jim West. Long kick, a high kick. It's got the distance okay. Well, it hasn't in the end, because Ryan's just stayed back and taken the mark right on the line.
Big Damien Ryan, 200 odd centimetres. The biggest man on the ground to probably the smallest. Tim Ginniver, short pass. McLeod's back into this side. Couldn't take that one. Shoveled out by Kretschmer. Rouvray loses feet and then paddles it a little further backwards. McCulley going to get set upon Stewie. He does. The umpire doesn't put the whistle to the mouth for holding the ball. Back to Kretschmer. Good hands. Nice and slick on the reflex. Around the body it goes. Ryan should sit back and take the mark. Great courage. I think it's Rouvray. It is. And that's a wonderful mark back against the Tide. Look at that.
Had a shocking injury last year, Rouvray, and looking forward to a big season.
Up he goes, right towards the head of the square. Caldo sits himself. A big Port Adelaide fist goes into the ball. Paddled away by Delaney. Ryan again working frenetically back there to try and keep the ball off hands. Magpies protecting their nest everywhere. Here's Rowan Smith. He just keeps it in play, or does he? No. Over the line and out of bounds. 2-1. Plays Port Adelaide get the score.
13 points the margin. 5, almost 6 minutes gone. First quarter, it's been a very brisk start by both sides, particularly by Glenelg. Chance now for them as Bailey slips the hand pass to Rubenik, I think it was. That kick not particularly good, and it's found Delaney, who once again switches plays. Pretty good at that. This is Mead. Those two the key defenders, or two of the key defenders. Falling just short of Carter. Able to grab it on the half volley. Nicely done. Infield now to northeast. Short kick, good kick. No mark taken. The kick was okay. Now Melakalis redeems himself well, bangs it toward goal and misses to the left. Good build-up, nothing doing though.
No, nothing happening for Port Adelaide at the moment. They've been a bit tentative at the moment. I think that Glenelg have come out and pressured Port Adelaide, and when they settle down, they'll certainly hit back.
So Port Adelaide's first score. They man up as hard as they can through half-back. There's Hocking, wearing number 15, brings it back into play to the far side. McCulley with the mitts on couldn't take it. They sweep around through half forward. And they've got one in short, and Darren Smith, the hard-working and long-serving centre half forward. That's a little hospital ball, that one. Not taken. Back in goes Ginniver, well tackled. Comes out towards McLeod. He's got great pace and great situational awareness. Gets it out towards Hutton, left leg, as quickly as he possibly can, right up towards the square, and he's got a point. Pretty good attempt on the Shepherd by Scotty Hodges, but it was just touched through.
Yes, and David Hutton had a pretty poor year with regards to form due to injury, but is a fine player.
Kick coming in from the northern end of the ground. Rowan Moore, 22-year-old, first gamer for the Bays. Impressive looking type. Up goes West. Hallahan, who's done very well in the early stages. Whipping out a hand pass. It goes to D. Smith. Now over to Hutton. He needs a handle on it. Gets it now. 50 metres out. Swings it round. The intention's very good, but it's a tricky one for the Port Adelaide men up forward. Chance now again. Oh, that was pretty tough there by Dean, and the free kick goes to Hutton.
Yes, well, Hutton did have control on it, but a clumsy tackle, you really can't do that.
Hutton kicks towards centre half forward, big pack into the air. Rubenik reading it brilliantly and bounces once and then swings it away toward the wing.
Awkward looking kick. In on the sit was Lees. Ginniver, who was such a good footballer in the grand final last year. The wake-up call for the Maggies really gave them the premiership on a plate with the skipper. And across it goes the line. So Hodges on screen. Speaking of people who turned that grand final around last year, a wonderful last term. 26 years of age, 513 career goals, and we've got a boundary throw in the left Port Adelaide forward pocket. Hallahan, some valuable touches early, stood and delivered. I think he was looking for the torpedo punt, didn't quite connect properly. Northeast just paddles it forward, tries to find Hutton. In the end he can. Now the left leg up towards the head of the square, a little bit of pushing and shoving. The umpire says nothing going. Stephen Williams round the body, the old legs just get him around well enough to snap a goal. Port Adelaide are away, and Williams gets his first for the season. Glenelg 2-1, Port Adelaide 1-2.
Stephen Williams, 259th game of his career, and again, a fine player for Port Adelaide, and an opportunity is in the right spot. If the ball's coming down to the forward line, you have to be in front. He was the only one there, snapped it on the left, and put through Port's first.
Contemplating retirement last year, Stephen Williams. I just wonder what sort of a season he'll have this year. He's been a marvellous player. Glenelg 2-1, Port Adelaide 1-2. 9 3/4 minutes gone in the first quarter. Season opener, Port Adelaide and Glenelg. McGuinness trying to pick up. Dean is there as well, hovering, and eventually The umpire comes across. And it's centre half forward for the Bays. He'll ball it up. Good crowd. They've built up late. And as we said initially, around about 10 or 12,000, perhaps even more. McCulley wins the knock. Cleverly knocked at the back. A chance now for Heel. He couldn't pick up. Now Rowan Smith gets it out very wide. Waterhouse. Not particularly good in the end. Dean. Infield he goes. Hallahan. Well, he stood up and took that okay. Back it goes again. Now West. And West chips towards centre half forward. A little scrappy. Out they storm. Ginniver, magnificent footy, and leading by example. The captain whips it out wide, and he's found McLeod.
A little stoush going on behind play, all right. There's a few in it. They didn't appreciate the Tigers. Brian Lee's getting in there and having some hard work. They've got another chance, the Tigers. Rouvray's a polished performer. In fact, it wasn't Rouvray, but they handed out towards Bailey. Now in towards the centre of the ground at Chigwidden. Series of handballs. The run and overlap's very good. The bearded now, Philip McGuinness. Up he goes, and it's just going to be short-circuited by Brian Benke. He comes to the close side of the ground, and he's got Delaney. Just a little extra freedom for Roger, playing out of the back pocket, it would seem. He looks for and finds Hutton. Beautiful dispatch and a wonderful take. Diving mark on centre wing. Meantime, it's played on towards half forward. A little bit of shoving from Stephen Williams in the end to hit him on the scone. Takes a player high and gives away the free kick.
Raw recruiter from Geelong. Be interesting to see his form tonight.
So he's got 25 metres, has he? Or a mark on the far side. It's a mark to Heel, the vice-captain of the club this year, out towards Kretschmann. And they're tracking and crabbing just a little, but they're still finding some space, and they're finding some of the football at the moment, the Tigers. Rowan Smith, Rouvray, and I think Paul's given the free kick away. He has.
Yes, and Rowan Smith getting on with it in a hurry, but he's only found Chigwidden, who whips it away to Kretschmar, and Kretschmar with a high kick. They develop at centre half. A good mark by Caldo in front. That was the place to be.
Yeah, certainly was. And Jimmy West too. He knew Caldo was in front and just stood his ground to stop the Port bloke coming over the back, the Port defender. And Caldo, who had a great second half of the season last year, should put through his first for the night.
Yes, I know the club is very excited about this full forward, and you're dead right, Michael. He had a good second half last year after a slow first half. There's the kick. It is off to the left-hand side. Well, he had everything going for him there, but misses. So another behind to Glenelg. It's 2-2, Port 1-2.
I think you're being fairly kind to him with a good second half of the year. He'd love to have had a much better start and finish, but anyway, he's back in the side today, and they're pinning a lot of faith on him there. Now, here's Damien Ryan. Mead, just not getting much going, the Maggies, at the moment, are they? They pump it up towards half forward. Darren Smith sets himself. The structure of the Maggies not quite right at the moment. They're not sitting in the front spots there on the contest. Off it goes from the ground. Hodges first there. Need a one clean take. Did he get one in the back? Yes, sir. And he'll take a kick from 35 metres out.
Well, I'd like to see that again. I don't know how, if there was much in that. We'll have a look at this, and Redshaw coming from behind. Well, there's a little touch.
Change your mind?
Well, Tiggy touch, but technically we'll have to give it.
About a 45-degree angle. And the Port Adelaide champ just start this at the right post. Look at that. 100% perfect. The game squared away. We're 13 and a half, nearly 14 minutes into the first term, and we've got 2-2 apiece.
Well, Scotty Hodges, a fine player, and decided to play with Port Adelaide rather than the Crows. 130 goals last season, and is a dead-eyed dick in front of goals, and notches up his first for the season.
Haven't heard that saying for a while. 2-2 apiece, 14 minutes, first quarter. And wouldn't Port Adelaide or Glenelg love to get off on a winning note in 1995? McCulley and Ryan. The Bays going into attack again. West getting underneath it. No, he was nowhere near in the end because Carter was well positioned. West was storming at him, and also Kretschmann was there as well. Now Carter decides to go to right half forward. The target down there is Darren Smith. Well done by Visca. Knocked it forward about 15 metres. Picked up cleverly, though, by McLeod. Gives it to Rowan Smith over the top to northeast. Here they go again, the Magpies. Kicks towards centre half forward. Hodges in front. Knocked away by Hocking. Well done. Chance now for Waterhouse. I think that was the blonde lad. Eventually the high kick comes from McGuinness. He'll get a free kick. He was manhandled badly and frustration's just starting to boil over.
Yeah, clumsy tackle again, and it was Hodges just made no attempt really to restrain him.
So McGuinness with some valuable touches early in this game. Puts it to the far side of the ground. And he has War. They call him Tugger for fairly obvious reasons. The tug of war. Here's Bartlett now, far side. Pumps up towards half forward. West. What a great mark. The big men are combining well early, and they've got great runners also. Let's have another look at West a little bit later. In towards half forward he goes. Well taken by Heel. And they look $1 million at the moment, the Tigers. Great confidence shown early in this game. Across they go, and they've found another one, and that's Kretschmer. Well, Darren Mead's having a tough old time, isn't he?
Yes, that's a good point, Stephen, because he was standing, there's that mark again, he was standing Callow, and then of course he had to run across to Kretschmer. You can only mind one man.
Well, there's one thing that the Tigers want this year is Jim West doing a lot more of that.
I like the structure, I must admit, of having those two big blokes through half forward. Why not? Why the traditional method of just one? They've got two running through there at the moment. Kretschmer's kick looks all right. A few hoots from the crowd, and they're from Port Adelaide people because he's missed.
Only one thing that worries me about that, Stephen, is that they really do have to check the Delaney's and Mead running off, because Port Adelaide are very good across their half-back line.
So here's Delaney now from the southern end of Football Park. With the lights on full. It's a beautiful sight. Goes to Carter at centre half-back. Kretschmer tries to hold him up. Carter looking for a target. That's an awful kick. He was looking for Benke, and he got himself into trouble there, Benke, but in fairness, it was a terrible kick to him. Eventually, Bailey's hand pass gives Kretschmer another chance. Here's Kretschmer squaring the footy at the back. Bartlett. Well, they've got three of them down there. They've got West, Bartlett, Caldo, Hallahan and Kretschmer occasionally.
Yes, it's a good mix at the moment. I just had a little feeling that Kretschmer might have had a ping there, Michael, but he did exactly the right thing. Brought it to the head of the square and gave them the very best chance.
Well, you know as a coach, Stephen, that if your player does that, he's on the ball, and having a shot from there really isn't the percentage thing.
All set up here for Bartlett. 25 metres out. Slight angle, and he's put it through. So Glenelg now eke out a very handy break. 3-3 to 2-2. We played 17.5 minutes of the first quarter.
Yeah, great work by the Glenelg forward line there, but just before that we saw McCulley, and it's good to see a ruckman doing work rather than in the air, but doing it on the ground as well. And he pushed that ball out to the running player, and then he did the great across the centre.
3-3 to 2-2, a 7-point break for the Tigers. We've played 18 minutes into the first quarter, and their key men are doing well, but their runners are doing particularly well through the middle of the ground. McGuinness has 6 possessions. Heel has 6. And they're cutting Port Adelaide to pieces through the midfield at the moment. McCulley got a tap, but Port Adelaide looked like getting it from exit from centre square through Darcy. Nothing effective. Ran into a brick wall to McLeod. Here now hard working is Chigwidden. Gets it to Dean. The runners are doing all right again. Away they go. Another movement in towards that full forward line. Beautiful take by Lees. The Richmond recruit hands it off. They run it and work it through the midfield. Not quite so clean, is it, from the Magpies at the moment? They're handing it around. They're trying to make something happen, but it just isn't working for them. Northeast runs it up. Rowan Smith towards half forward. Beautifully picked off by Rubinick. And he'll take the kick from half-back.
Yes, still a defender is Grant Rubinick. Goes to that far side on the outer side. And the target was Rouvray. And Bartlett's a long way down too in that general area. Way over on the far side. Rouvray, a pro. That would be hoping to impress tonight. And work his way into that Crow's side. Smith and also McCulley. McCulley wearing the gloves, as we've already mentioned. Bailey there as well, and Rowan Smith. Heel is number 4. 22 is Melakellus. And there's Bailey, who, as I mentioned earlier, got a nasty knock in a trial game against Port Adelaide. And may have been in doubt tonight. He looks okay so far. Whips it out wide. War. Short chip pass is okay to Bartlett. So they're gradually moving the ball forward. Way over on the eastern wing. Goes in long, left flank. Up goes Lees at the back. West in front. Kretschmer, was that in the back? Yes, it was. And that was against Carter.
They're 25 as well. It's very silly. They didn't give the ball back, and so what it's effectively done is it's brought him into range. Instead of being outside 50, he's now come into 30 to 35 metres out. and given Kretschmer, who's generally pretty accurate, a good chance.
Had eye problems, Kretschmer, but he'd be seeing these sticks all right, you'd think, from 35 metres out. He's given it a good ride, and he has banged it through. Well done. Good goal by Kretschmer. Bad mistake by the Magpies. It's 4-3 to 2-2.
Yes, Kretschmer's first for the year, and actually donned the glasses, the Abdul Karim Jabbar glasses last year, but has taken them off this year and has started well. Jim West giving the great position in front, and Kretschmer doing the right thing, crumbing it beautifully and kicking correctly.
He's almost like a recruit, Dwayne Kretschmer, back into the side. 20.5 minutes into the first quarter. We've got 4-3 to 2-2. The Tigers are doing it well. Bailey, one of the older brigade, hands off to McGuinness, who works so very hard. Look at that beautiful foot pass, and he's found West. Now one step, it wanted to be well weighted as Ryan works back, and Lees it is. Takes a pretty good mark in the back pocket. The prize recruit, and the man who Carter and Northeast, there's Carter, will work from throughout 1995. Hands it back towards Lees. Navigates his way through halfback and puts it out towards the centre wing area. Free kick and play on. Well, I thought everybody had stopped, and the rule would dictate that you then stop the ball and bring it back, but the umpire called play on. Gave Port Adelaide every good chance. Spoiled away from Hodges. Hard-working player in there is number 29. That is Robbie West from Western Australia. Little push in the back. Well, the umpire didn't see it. In fact, I think they might have been undecided as to whose call it was.
Great work by Stewie McCulley as we see Tony Simons a bit nervous up there, being his first real hit out for the season.
Port Adelaide set themselves up on the check, and they lay it down. It goes to the front, and Heel goes from the ground. Beautifully taken, and great awareness. Slip it inside, Jim. Couldn't quite. Goes to the second one. That's an airy, and Nicholas Chigwidden's had it. In swoops a Magpie, and that's Ginnivan. To Rowan Smith, far side. Watch this for a burst of leg speed. Here goes McLeod. Depresses the accelerator, and away he goes like a startled rabbit. 65 metres out. He thumps it up towards Hodges. Can't quite take it. Some pretty good work going on from Hocking back there. Gee whiz, they're going over like 9 pins. Where's the bowling ball? And we've got a bounce down 25 metres out.
Good effort there by Hocking. He was outnumbered, and there's Chiggy's airy, which didn't do his chances any good, or Glenelg's chances. But I felt sorry for Hocking because he had 2 or 3 to worry about. Eventually the ball is cleared away up onto the half-back line. Chance for Hutton, just happy to escort the ball over the line, and there'll be a throw-in left half forward. There's Jack Cale, and what a big year he had last year. He'd be hoping to duplicate it again in 1995.
Yes, we're probably looking, I think it's his 10th go at a premiership this year, and by reports, Port will be looking very good.
Dean gets it away up towards centre wing, setting himself, and took one in the back too. Was Ryan's long way up for Chiggy, wasn't it? Couldn't quite get there. I guess when Ryan puts the mitts up, he's probably 9 feet from the ground. And it was a long way up for the Tiger captain, who's now going back to the forward pocket for a rest.
Certainly clearing the area for Caldo, aren't they?
So they're giving him every good chance. His great strength, of course, is to be able to work into space. Kretschmer, who I was saying is just like a brand new recruit, having missed last year, or most of last year. Spoiled away. Good contest though by West. Look at the advantage of playing in front. Gave himself another chance at it and got a free kick. Textbook stuff.
Yes, went to ground. Probably should have tried to keep his feet, but as it's turned out, it's come well. Clumsy tackle by Melakalis.
Big Jim thumps it up towards that full forward line, and another advantage of playing in front. Well, I didn't see it that way. Ryan came floating in from behind and was awarded the free kick. Now he's got a bevy of Port players. One of them is Mead. He chips to half back, and he's got Delaney.
Yes, they attack Caldo in pairs there as Delaney sweeps it very long and very wide. There's a good mark taken by Lees. Way over on the far side. Brett Dean comes off, and coming on is John Simons, Tony Simons' brother. That's the coach. Big pack into the air. At the back was Hocking. McLeod. Well done by Kretschmer. War, first gamer. Getting back is McGuinness, and McGuinness sweeps it across the face. Confidence there. It may come off. It does. This is Simons getting his first touch for 1995. Bailey, clever, very good. On centre wing, beyond centre wing now. Good-looking kick. A terrific kick up to West Territory. Bartlett, another big man in open spaces. Outstorms Caldo. That was almost clever. He tried to knock it to his teammate's advantage. Was it a push in the back? The umpire comes across, and he has sorted one out. I think it might have been a little later.
Bartlett and Carter having a little go behind the play as well. That's just the advantage that they're looking for with Caldo, is to give him the space, because I think he does have a little edge in leg speed on Mead. But as that little stoush was going on behind play, you see it there. Caldo's got the free kick from the 50-metre line.
That was Bartlett and Carter. Yes, Caldo pushed in the back twice then, got the second time paid. Now he's 45 metres out. He's a left footer, and his kick is very good. So Caldo gets another for the Bays. Bailey comes across and has a chat to him, and Glenelg go further in front. They stretch their lead, and we're late in this first quarter. 5-3 to 2-2.
Well, we saw two plays a minute ago in the back lines. War really should have grabbed hold of the ball rather than hitting it and put it to the chest of one of his players. And then Caldo tried to palm it off. Really had time if his hands were good enough to grab it and handball, and Chigwitten couldn't get it. And look into stats there. Well, we have a look at Glenelg. 50 kicks, 12 more kicks than Port Adelaide. They're absolutely controlling the ball at the moment, and 6 more handballs.
And Dean Bailey has contributed 10 of those possessions. A wonderful first term for him. And here they go again. They're getting really wound up, the Tigers, at the moment. Out towards heel. Kretschmer arrives late in the scene. Can't do much with it. Port Adelaide are there in numbers. They've worked hard to this ball. Now North East has just a modicum of time. He puts it up towards centre wing. Smith provides the contest. Thought I heard the whistle. The umpire called play on anyway, and Darcy gets it right up towards the 50-metre line. Here's Paul Hamilton for the first time in the game. Well done by Rubenik. Pretty tough old one, though, to take out there for War. And in the end, he found the line, the Sandover medalist. We've played 26.5 minutes into the first quarter. The Tigers have a handy break. They're 33 to 14. And a boundary throw in on the far side. McCulley will do battle. He's come back on the back play, and Darren Smith gets it away. West, not quite. Waterhouse is an exciting young player. He shovels it out, and watch War go for the line again. He does just that.
19 points the margin in favour of the Bays. A bit of a surprise. They are expected to be reasonable improvers in 1995, but Port Adelaide, well, they've got a very strong lineup with 3 or 4 excellent recruits. McCulley and Smith. McCulley wins it clearly. Malakellis, who's got his brother here this time. Spiro isn't playing tonight, though. Good looking kick there by Darcy. No mark taken, and Glenelg with the numbers at the back. That was Redshaw and Hocking clears, and it's close to the line. It's out of bounds at half back.
Well, Jared Hocking coming back this year is doing a pretty good job on Hodges at the moment, albeit the play from Port Adelaide not delivering it all that well.
Three to 2-2. Michael Ash, good evening to you.
Mark.
And Stephen Trigg. Big start by the Bays.
Absolutely. We expect them to be attacking, but at the moment they are very tough on the defensive action, and they've done their fair share of attacking, of course, by getting 5 on the board, and their runners through the midfield. The Kretschmer, Chigwitten, Bailey types who are playing on the ball. McGuinness with 11 possessions, would you believe, in the first quarter. Have all done, Michael, very, very well.
They have, and as normal at the start of the game, a bit of a spite in it.
Yes, we saw some fireworks before the game from the SANFL, and we've seen a few through the first term as well. Bartlett, who lined up at centre-half forward alongside of Jim West, A couple of centre-half forwards, an interesting structure. One step. Hallahan, who has a goal, goes in towards the full forward line. They've left it pretty well free for Caldo. Can't take that one. He's being marked by Mead. Now here's Brian Lees, the prize recruit, as the siren goes to finish what has been a most entertaining first quarter of the first game of the year from Football Park between the Magpies and the Tigers. And at quarter time, Glenelg have the break by 29 points.
Yes, so a big start, 5-3 to 2-2. Glenelg lead. All set to go. Second quarter, 19 points the difference. 33 plays 14. And what a frenetic start it was to the 1995 SANFL season. 5-3 to 2-2. Good crowd in attendance and plenty at stake. Both the Magpies and the Bays keen to get off on a winning note for this season. Ginniver wraps up his captain, or his opposing captain. That was Chigwidden. Hand pass to centre half forward. Big knock from Visca. Down there is West. Now a chance for the Magpies, and this is McLeod. High kick. Outnumbered Stephen Williams there. And War comes away with it. He runs smack bang into D. Smith. Good kick to left half forward. I think West pushed his man in the back. No, the umpire didn't seem to agree. And Bailey's kick to right half forward. Right over the top of those players' heads. Getting back as Delaney is in trouble, though, because he's being pursued. And the ball out of bounds in the right forward pocket.
Well, let's have a look at that Jimmy West. Well, I think he played on it a bit, and big ticky touch, but we've seen them paid before.
Forward pocket, and a chance for the Tigers again. They've got Roger Delaney, Port Adelaide, playing on that last line of defence, but instead of the customary full-back spot, he's got a little bit of latitude, and he's had plenty of possessions in the first quarter. And talking about possessions, I mentioned at quarter time the fact that the Glenelg runners were doing so well. What about this? McGuinness and Bailey, 11 possessions each. Kretschmer's on centre wing, I think, and he's got 10. And Heel is on the other, and he's got 9. So the runners are doing very, very well. Damien Ryan, Bartlett's provided a focus. It's not been bad either. Chiggy's worked pretty hard as well. Out it comes towards Carter. He's playing at halfback. One take. Is he looking for the line? I think you might have been, Stephen. Nevertheless, it's gone across, and we'll have another boundary throw in. Live from Football Park, the first game of the year, and you just saw a snapshot of some fireworks before the game. It's been a great atmosphere down here tonight, and the deck is in absolutely perfect condition. Kretschmer around the body from Hallahan. They work it back. They're not unprepared to share the ball at the moment. Dean looks to be back on the ground. Up goes towards Delaney. Now they're a chance to take it and break, and Rowan Smith's got a little paddock to work in. He puts the turbocharger on, takes a couple of bounces. In fact, he takes 3. Roger can't keep up, unfortunately, for the Shepherd, so Rowan goes to space. Looks for namesake in Darren, who thumps it forward, then runs into a couple of Bay players. Here's Rowan again, and he'll run it towards and find the line.
Well, I don't know how much value in that. When Darren Smith was in front, he really has got time to grab hold of the football and at least give off rather than tapping it.
So Glenelg still lead by 19 points. McCulley wearing the gloves, as you can plainly see. Darren Smith smacks it forward. Chance now for West, one of the recruits. Good kick, giving his forward every possible chance. And Scotty Hodges is getting a free kick against Hocking.
Well, Jared Hocking, as we called it, has been very tight, and I didn't get a good look at that, but the umpire was in good position. And Scotty Hodges, well, always a great kick for goal. Shouldn't have any problems in putting through his second.
Gee, the disposal was excellent by West. And this champion full forward, who's done it all with Port Adelaide. He's played with the Crows, and who knows, he might be playing with Port in the AFL next year. There's his kick. Will you give him a big build-up? And he's missed to the left-hand side. But he doesn't do that too often, Michael.
He doesn't, but as David called it, I think it was a slight wind, which he is kicking into, and it may be a little tricky.
So Westlakes is alight again in season 95. And the Bays bring it into the close side. Look at that from McCulley. I wonder if it's a little bit easier. I suspect the answer to that is it's a rhetorical question. The answer is yes, it is a little easier with those gloves on, but he took a good mark nonetheless. Chigwidden claims, still gets it away. Here now is Kretschmer, left leg, quickly gets it up there. Port Adelaide have got the numbers and they're in the right spot. Not taken in the end though by Benke. It comes to Carter, and he happily finds the line.
For any of those young kids looking at this game tonight, perfect example of Chigwidden. He knew he was in trouble there, but he was in front, so he grabbed the ball and he was able to feed off.
There he is. Little Chiggy, he works very hard and has done for many years for the Tigers. He's not very tall, but he's got a great heart.
Oh.
Here we are in the forward pocket, again working hard. It looks like West in there at the bottom of the pack. It is, and they need a big year from him. I like the setup at the moment with Bartlett and West there, Michael.
Doing very well to this stage, but the thing that worries me about any side that plays Port Adelaide, if they don't persist, we know Port Adelaide will run over them.
Here they are. Here's Chigwidden. Here's a chance around the body. He loves these. How much does he love this one? He's got the hands up in the air, and he's got the goal. So another good one for the Bays. Chigwidden's congratulated by Kretschmer. 4.5 minutes into the second term, and the Tigers open up a 4-goal break.
Well, the captain kicks his second, and at the moment, the Tigers are doing the little things better than what Port Adelaide are. The loose balls, they're getting more than their 50-50 share of them, and they're just controlling the game.
They certainly have the advantage at the moment. 2 goals to Nick Chigwidden, who's been around for what seems an age. 6-3 to 2-3. 5 minutes. Second term. A marvellous stage here for the start of the 1995 SANFL football season. Mellichellis to Hutton. Gee, they look similar, don't they? And Spiro Mellichellis is with Port Adelaide as well this year. He's injured, though. McLeod will have to bring it back. What do you think of the gloves, Michael? I reckon you wearing gloves with that headgear a couple of years ago, you'd have looked like a robber.
Would have done all right.
David Hutton, outside of 50. Left forward pocket, out storms Hodges. Had 3 to beat. Hocking knocks it away. Chigwidden runs into trouble. Well done to Rubenik, though, who's a very good defender. Now McGuinness, that was pretty clever. High kick, not a particularly good kick in the end, though, but he was swirling around. And Ginniver gets it across to West. Darcy gets knocked over. And he'll take a free.
McGuinness, well, in a lot of trouble and really got clear and could have run on.
Port player in trouble behind play as well. And they go up towards the half-forward line. Rowan Smith. This is the pressure that the Tigers are exerting at the moment. It's a pretty good-looking outfit. Stephen Williams under pressure as well. Well done, Redshaw. Kretschmer handed it off to Rubenik and got it back in the 1-2. Now goes towards the centre field. They need a one clean take in there and run. That's a beautiful tackle.
Calling for a stretcher.
I think that might have occurred in the incident where McGuinness did that little pirouette and the player looked to hurt himself. Now, I have a suspicion just looking at that it might be
Hutton,
it might be David Hutton. I wouldn't want to alert or alarm people who are watching, but here, let's have a look at this one and just see how this happened, and we'll find out who it is. Maybe it's Robbie West. And McGuinness spins.
Yeah, Hutton.
Oh dear. That's a very sore arm. Oh dear. Well, he's had such bad luck, Hutton. He broke an ankle, I think, last year and had such awful luck and such early bad luck in the season of 1995. And I think you saw fairly clearly there an arm that's in a lot of trouble. And, well, you can only feel very sorry for David Hutton. He's had such rotten luck over the last couple of years.
So Richard Foster about to come on, and he does so now as David Hutton is being taken from the ground on the stretcher, and a disaster for David. He's such a wonderful player, excellent to watch. He's so quick and his delivery is generally pinpoint, but as you clearly saw, he is in all sorts of bother here with that arm. So Foster comes on, and David Hutton, the 29-year-old, goes off. So drama here at Football Park, and this quarter now will start to wear on a little.
159 games, and I don't know exactly, but I suspect that the last 20 have been very, very hard work, and over, well, at least a couple of seasons for David. It's been a tough old time. He worked his way back in, and I guess to his great credit, got himself into the grand final and indeed premiership side that Port Adelaide produced last year. Great euphoria that surrounded that game, of course, but really rotten luck. He's given an ovation as he comes off the ground. And of course we have 6-3 at the moment to 2-3. A 4-goal break for the Tigers. A great start for them, and Port Adelaide have had a rotten start.
So Hutton off, and the play to commence once again. Pretty well in the middle of Football Park. So the Magpies now 1 short. Ryan and McCulley. Kretschmer tried to get it across and does so to McGuinness, right half forward, looking for a twinkling from Caldo down there or West. They've got 2 or 3 to choose from. Bartlett as well. It comes to the side of the pack. Bartlett's onto it quickly. So is a number of other players. And there'll be a ball up directly in front of the Bays goal.
Well, we just had a look at David Hutton go from the ground. Maybe David Mackay can give us a little more information.
Sure can, Rock. Just checked with the Port Adelaide trainers, and it appears that David Hutton has dislocated an elbow. He'll take no further part in this match. They expect him probably to miss 4 to 6 weeks.
It's a pretty quick appraisal, isn't it? 4 to 6 weeks is just with a slip of the tongue. Doesn't sound long, but for a bloke who's worked very hard all pre-season to get himself fit and well, to have this rotten luck 7 or 8 minutes into the second term, well, you feel for him. We've got to bounce down again, I'd say, around about 30 metres out from the Tiger goals. There's Bartlett. I guess the thing, Michael, about Hutton going off is that he's a goal-kicking wingman as well, and they'll miss him badly.
Well, they certainly miss his speed across the centre line, and that's what Port Adelaide have always done. Their wingmen have kicked goals.
Yeah, they're a chance again, the Tigers, and Kretschmer has appeared from nowhere, and he's jammed through Glenelg's 7th goal for the evening. He gets his 2nd, and Glenelg are opening up a handy break at the 10-minute mark. They go to 7-3 to 2-3.
Again, great work, and where Glenelg are winning it at the moment is McCulley in ruck is really dominating, and 5 minutes ago they really just controlled the ball, and not only McCulley but Kretschmer, Bailey, McGuinness, all these guys, and Kretschmer's kicked his 2nd and has a fine start to the season.
And after having problems, Michael, with his eyes, he's seeing them okay. Had terrible problems with a retina, I think it was, last year or the year before.
And it looked like he wasn't going to play football again, but decided to come back out and play, and has started 1995 season off in great form.
McCulley with 14 hit-outs. Michael Aish saying that he was dominant. There's no doubt about that. Back in the centre. Good, strong, crunching tackle there by Stephen Williams. But the umpire deemed it illegal, and he'll gives it to McGuinness, and the 2 fleet-footed Glenelg players bang it down towards centre-half forward, but a very strong mark taken down there in defence. Not a good kick. It was smothered off the boot, kicked off the ground, and it's floated through for a behind. That was Caldo off the ground.
Great work by Caldo, and Stephen said at quarter time that the Tigers are actually doing what Port did all last year. They're desperate, they're intense, and John Cole, I'm sure, at quarter time would have stressed that.
Mead brings it back in, almost to the square. Big thump away by Bartlett. If they get it free, they've got a runner. McGuinness, you should have given it, Phillip. In the end, he did, but it's a harder kick for Chigwidden. Should have given the first one, no doubt about that. It's given Mead a chance, and he gobbles it up. He loves to run. He goes to the far side of the ground and finds some space. I guarantee he's looking for the line. Perfectly weighted kick, and he's got it. Well, that's an error.
It is, and the opportunities don't come up too often, especially against the Port backline. And coach Tiny Simons wouldn't be a very happy man at all. He could have thrown it onto the boot, tried to play the smart play, and Chigwidden, well,
what you didn't see was that there was a player sitting up the front that he could have got it to. And away they go again. They're another chance, though. They pump it back up into that full forward line. Mead looks to have the height. It's not really the go for Caldo. They need him in some space and running. It gives Mead every good chance to smash it away when they put it up so high and slowly like that. And we've got another boundary throw in. We've played 12.5 minutes into the second term, and the Bays have a 31-point advantage. Ryan takes it from the air. Another chance for McGuinness. He thumps it up towards the goals. Just floats across the front and goes through for one behind.
Well, John Cole this year stressed that his half-back line in North-East, Lees and Carter, are ready-made AFL, and they're certainly getting tried at the moment.
Yeah, looks good on paper, doesn't it? And Roger Delaney, who's one of the best around, he's certainly been around for a while. 157 games. He's 29 years of age. Twilight of his career. Lees at the back. Chigwidden. Now McGuinness. High kick. Pretty good distance with that. Caldo had it knocked away from behind. Well smothered there by Bailey. Kept it in the area. That's the key. Might have been Kretschmer, actually. Yes, it was. So they hold it up. 25, 30 metres in front. There's Bartlett. He and West and Caldo and a couple of those smaller players doing very well. Bailey 32, Chigwidden 21. Big knock there. Kretschmer again. High one. Delaney caught at the back. Caldo in front. Just reading it very well. Carter. Binky away from the back pocket. Another mistake by Binky there, and as a result, Chigwidden's able to get it to Bailey.
Just under too much pressure, Michael. They're not doing anything clean, the Maggies, at the moment.
Well, at the moment, Port Adelaide, I know it's and a surprising thing to say, but looking a bit timid compared to exactly what Glenelg are doing, and Port Adelaide really on the back foot.
Surprising. It's unheard of.
Well, it is, but again, we're only into the halfway through the second term.
So Bailey, yes, there's no point in getting too excited because we've seen those mighty comebacks by Port Adelaide. Here's Bailey. Oh, what a critical goal this would be. He's got everything going for him. There's the kick, and he's just about missed everything. He's missed behind.
Well, they don't come much easier than that, and Bailey, an experienced player, you really have to put them through to put the nail in the coffin.
225 games for Tony Simons. Wouldn't have been very happy with that one. And in his first game, I bet he's giving the gum a fair workout. This is Benke on the far side. Former St Peter's College student, thumps it up towards centre wing, hugs the boundary line. The umpire's found a free kick in amongst all that, and it's going to Mead, who's been let off his leash just for a moment. Now we wheel around. They need some quick and penetrating entries into that forward line. Now Darren Smith's going to be a couple out, having to travel. It's always a sign when a side's not doing very well. Their centre-half forward starts to travel some miles. Here's Stephen Williams, has a good look, keeps the head down and nails it. Well, that's better from the Magpies. Port Adelaide bounced back. Glenelg had kicked the last 5 before that one to Williams, who gets his second.
Well, good running by Stephen Williams. They're always the elusive half-forward come centreman, and with his experience, you'd expect him to put it through, and he's done that. So Port edge a little closer, but Glenelg still holding them at bay at the minute.
Yes, and Stephen thinking of retiring at the end of last year, but he's decided to give it another go. 7-6 to 3-3, 48 plays 21. A bit more urgency perhaps here by Port Adelaide. S. Williams gets one too high and then immediately plays onto the left boot. Good kick out, very wide. That's an excellent kick. Well, he gave West every chance, although in the end he was attacked by 3 or 4 Glenelg players. Here's Kretschmer. Got it from Rubenik, and then Kretschmer transports it 25 metres, far side of the ground. Heel, about 75 metres out. 2-on-1 situation, northeast. Bartlett outnumbered badly there. Binky away once again from that dangerous half-back area. Here's Rouvray and Rowan Smith. Rowan Smith does a bit of shepherding off the ball. Rouvray's got the footy now. The umpire says there's a free kick and it's going Foster's way.
Foster, one step, he's got Benke. Bartlett arrives late, just a little too late. Geneva provides an option in short. Waterhouse is getting ready to come back on. Centre wing, here's Darren Smith. He's worked pretty hard, and this is what I was talking about, having to travel some miles to get himself the football. Beautifully weighted pass. Look out, Tim, you're under pressure. Still gets it away. Hodges sets himself. Good spoil. Hockings had the better of the battle. Oh, gee, Hamilton's got one high. Hodges is back in there working hard, and someone's gone for holding the ball, and Port Adelaide will get a free kick.
Well, good work by Port Adelaide forward lines there, but geez, they hurt the most when they happen in the forward lines, and there's been a few happen already tonight that weren't paid. But as we look, Kretschmer down on his knees, doing good work. Well, when he looks injured, Hodges looks like he's done an ankle, and that won't be good news for the Port fans.
Could be a disaster for Port Adelaide if they lose Hutton and their star full forward in this quarter.
David Strooper comes on for Glenelg. I think it may have been Hamilton that went off. Didn't quite catch that, but anyway, David Strooper on, and would you believe the stretcher's out?
Let's have another look and just see what happens here. Hodges looked to be winded for a moment, but there it just looks like that left. Oh, there it is.
Ooh.
Oh dear.
Jared Hocking's done all the work there, just pushing Hodges away, and I don't think he played too much further part in this one.
What a disastrous start for the Magpies to 1995. They're getting thumped on the scoreboard. They've lost a prize wingman and conceivably the competition's best full forward. Some worrying things for Magpie coach John Cale, who's looking for his 10th premiership, and you can see that Scotty's not altogether impressed with the treatment that he's getting at the moment.
Yes, he looks in a lot of pain, doesn't he? So what a shocking start here for the Magpies as high drama continues at Football Park, and Scotty Hodges now being taken off. Like, it's unbelievable. The stretch has been used twice in about 15 minutes. Hutton first, Hodges second. Now, Ryan came off, the giant ruckman for Port Adelaide, but he's come back on. So Jack Cale is obviously having to make some fairly dramatic changes to his side, who trails on the scoreboard and are now 2 short.
Something of a scrap going on inside the Port Adelaide half-forward line. A bit of pushing and shoving, but, I mean, let's face it, there's nothing really untoward in any of the incidents that we've seen so far. They've just been awfully unfortunate mishaps that have happened and do happen in football. Let's have a look at Stephen Williams with kick number 5. He's got it. So Williams is doing his bit. He gets his 3rd, and Port Adelaide just claw back a little. 7-6 the Tigers. Port Adelaide are 4-3, and we're 19.5 minutes into the second term.
As we see Hodges going off the ground, as we've seen time and time again, when Port Adelaide are in a bit of trouble, we really see them bounce back. And I'm sure John Cale, as we see Hodges going down, there's Hocking pushing him off McCulley, and over he goes, falls on his left ankle, and could be in a bit of strife.
Here's David Mackay down on the boundary with another update.
Oh, Mark, terrible news for Port Adelaide. It appears that their full forward, Scotty Hodges, has broken his ankle, and heaven knows how long that'll be.
Thank you, David. 7-6, 4-3, Glenelg lead, Port in trouble.
Well, it's a disaster, and really, I don't care whether you're a Port Adelaide supporter or not. Scotty is a champ, and it's always bad news to see one of the season or one of the competition's great highlights go down like that. Looks like he's going to be out of action for a while. Here's another exciting footballer though, and that's Carter. Floats one towards heel, hands it off quickly. It's a feature of the Tigers game at the moment. They're prepared to play it on and play it on very quickly, and they've got a free inside halfback. They make a change. John Simons comes on, and Hallahan comes off, and they're having a go on centre wing.
Well, there's not much point in this. There really isn't. As the kick goes down ground, Delaney takes it at the back, and the fight's still going on. And you just get the feeling that they've got to concentrate on the footy, because none of that business on centre wing's going to score goals or do anything like that. The other thing is, Stephen, and also Michael, we've seen Port Adelaide face adversity like this before and lift enormously. Do you get the feeling that might happen tonight?
Well, the Port Adelaide Football Club are renowned for doing that, and the scrap at the moment is between McGuinness and Melikelis.
And McGuinness is having a field day, 17 possessions so far. And you talk about Port Adelaide being renowned for the rough stuff. Here's Caldo at half forward, and he's got one inside range. You don't have to think back very far. They were in diabolical trouble last year in the grand final. And then all of a sudden, Timmy Ginniver, towards the end of the first term, started to manufacture something and got them going. And this is the game plan. They're sitting presently 21 points behind, notwithstanding the fact that Caldo has a shot. He's holding the ball for a drop punt. Has a good look at them. And the umpire doesn't move much at all. Good kick. Caldo gets his 2nd. The Tigers get their 8th, and they pull a little further away. 8-6 to 4-3.
And that's what the Tigers needed. They needed a settler, and Cowder playing in front was never going to drop it, and he needed that one to boost his confidence. As Stephen said, getting his 2nd. I was interested to hear your comments, Stephen, about the captain in Ginniver and what he did to get Port Adelaide Football Club back into the 1994 grand final.
Damien Ryan going to full forward for Port Adelaide, 8-6 to 4-3. Mead into the ruck. And the Magpies, if you've just joined us, are in big, big trouble. Hutton and Hodges. Hodges has a broken ankle, we understand. Hutton a dislocated elbow. And they're behind on the scoreboard. Anthony Darcy, one of their star recruits, inside 50, 2-on-2 situation. Down there is Pedler and also Ryan, 2 big men. And if you're focusing in on the football right now, as that fan is, and if you're a Port Adelaide fan, well, you wouldn't be too happy. 23 minutes gone. There'll be plenty of time on. We could be here until midnight.
It could be a long night. Bartlett and Ryan. Keep in mind that Tyler played in the reserves for Port Adelaide tonight at centre half back. But as a Ken Farmer medalist, they've got some coverage for Hodges in the weeks to come, if in fact Scotty misses any length of time, which it looks like he might. Now let's have a look at tomorrow. The ABC will be at Elizabeth Oval, out at the Ponderosa, Michael Aish's favourite place. Central District versus Norwood. And both Alan Stewart and Neil Craig in their 5th years, and you'd enjoy going out there again, Mike.
Look forward to it. First time for 1995 and are whatever you want to call it, expecting the coffee and crumpets.
You get the, I was going to say crumpets, mate. They're not that friendly out there. You get cream puffs.
And apparently you've been rostered down to do an interview with the cheer squad, so good luck, son. Here we are at half forward now. This is War, and in number 3 is Rubenek. They play it on Port Adelaide through half forward. They'll keep trying, there's no doubt about that. Malakillis, Tony gets it up towards half forward, a little too high on Ryan, not paid. Feigns the handball, does McGuinness, then puts down the foot on the accelerator and takes it away. Not quite so good with the handball. They work it out. Bailey to Rouvray, who's been fairly quiet really, comes towards centre wing, and they run it across the line. Port Adelaide 8-6 to 4-3, just 3 possessions for Rouvray from half back, and the Tigers will get it on centre wing. It's strange, but he's got it anyway as Simo, brother to the coach. To half forward, not a well-directed kick. Darren Mead sits back and will track it across half back, navigates it in towards centre half back. Northeast, always awkward. He wanted to pinpoint that one, he does, and gets Darren Smith. Now he wheels around in something of an arc, lifts the eyes, gets nutted, and there'll be a free kick down the ground. This is Pedler, onto the ground for the first time, up towards the head of the square, a little push out, yes sir. And it looks like Ryan will get a free kick inside range at about 25 metres out.
I'd like to have another look at this as Smith and I think that might be Redshaw, yes it is, having a few words. Kretschmer just comes in, a little T. Malakillis as well. Free kick to Ryan, as Stephen said, and well, they certainly need this as half-time approaches.
So Ryan, you wouldn't want to put your house on it, because he's not that good a kick, and he's missed it. Here comes Jack, and I guess that he would be, despite the euphoria of last year's grand finals, we enter time on in the second term, would be bitterly disappointed and concerned about his Port Adelaide outfit just at the moment.
Jack down in the bunker. Jack Cale, who's been such a successful man in football, both playing and coaching. There's Hocking's kick, didn't play last year. Waterhouse gets it to his skipper. Now McGuinness, the hand pass from Geneva wasn't all that good. Number 36 is David Strooper. Gets it over now Bailey. Chigwin was the man that got it to him. Oh, Rogers made a bad mistake and almost paid. He may still even pay for this. Round the corner by Caldo. Oh, what a ripper. What a ripper by Caldo, and can you believe it? Delaney makes an awful error. 3 goals to Caldo, 9-6 to 4-4. And half-time approaching.
Well, beside the misfortune that they've had, Port Adelaide have just looked a little off colour tonight. Rogers had some good possessions, but they're just not doing anything clean at the moment. They're not hard at the body, and they're being unsettled by a much more disciplined Tigers side that's showing far more urgency, and that's a beautiful snap by Caldo. Gets his 3rd. We've got 9-6 to 4-4, and the alarm bells must now be ringing very, very loudly for the Port Adelaide side.
60 plays 28, 32 points. Glenelg lead 9-6 to 4-4. 27 minutes gone, but you would expect a lot more time on because of those 2 injuries. Darren Smith's hand pass not particularly good. War went without it. Chance now for Rubenek, defending very well, sweeps it out very wide. Now Geneva under enormous pressure. Foster's been around for a long time. Malakillis, Simons, Foster again. And the crowd lifts here. There's a lot of Port Adelaide supporters, but I can tell you there is a lot of Bay support here as well. There's about, I'd say, 10 or 11,000. Almost 28 minutes gone. Smith, whistle blows. And I think Smithy's given a free kick away, has he, or not?
Yes, he has.
And the free kick to be taken by Bartlett.
Well, Glenelg have kicked the last 7, punctuated by Stephen Williams' only 2 goals for Port Adelaide since the 13-minute mark of that first quarter. Here's Carter. Tackled, held, didn't have the football, should get a free kick and does.
They've been at it though, haven't they, Stephen? Glenelg, they've been at it and at it, and they've been tackling and smothering, doing all of those little things that make such a difference.
They have, and they've got great leg speed as well from those midfield runners that we've talked about already. Up towards half forward, that's a badly directed kick. Bartlett sits back. Clearly been relieved of that centre half forward role. Hands it off, far side, Dean. He'd love to get into action this year, Brett Dean. He's been in and out of this Glenelg side. Good tackle on the far side on Simons. Or was it? My mistake, too high, play on. Now Bailey, who doesn't look 100% fit, I must admit. That's not what you'd call long striding. He puts it in towards centre-half forward. Caldo couldn't quite get down to it on the one clean take on the half volley, and we'll have a bounce down right on the 50-metre line.
Yes, Bailey got that nasty knock in the trial a week or so ago against Port. A bad back knock, and I know there was some worry about him during the week. 29 minutes gone. Williams doing the ruck work for the Magpies. Here's McGuinness. McLeod tried to come at him. High kick inside 50. Lee's up well early. Oh, big chance here. And a big chance for Big Strooper. Strooper bangs it through. David Strooper, welcome to South Australia. Welcome to the Bays. It's 10-6 to 4-4.
Some doubts about Bailey's fitness, but I believe some doubts about Strooper's fitness as well. Didn't look too bad there. Came crashing through. And he looks all right, doesn't he? He's got a few clubs under his belt, David Strooper, the last of which was the Sydney Swans. But he's just given Glenelg their 10th goal.
Yes, I spoke to him today, 10-6 to 4-4. Interviewed him today for TV News, and he said, oh, I'm not fit, mate. He said, I'll probably only play a half. Well, he's just done his job initially in this second quarter at least, as Chiggy sweeps it towards centre-half forward, getting underneath it northeast with courage. Foster there as well. Besiege, Bailey, as Stephen said, doesn't look 100% fit. Strooper there again, standing over the man. And the free kick going to this big man. In short, didn't come off. Binky, now Ginniver. Chip pass, Carter at half-back.
Well, I think that somebody's going to have to wake Port up shortly. They're right off the pace. Not playing with anywhere near the urgency that the Tigers are. Great take by Waterhouse up over the top. Visca tackles him. It's a little bit crude by Mark because Waterhouse clearly had possession up towards the 50-metre line. They're outnumbered. Pedler and fighting across the back is War. They call him tug-of-war for obvious reasons. Spoiled away from Chigwidden just inside the boundary line. Kretschmer deft just inside, not quite taken that time by Rubenik. They turn it over. They're messing around, Port Adelaide, and they're just not on song. That's gone out of bounds on the full by a long way.
Made a few boo-boos, haven't they?
A few boo-boos, all right.
So the free kick to be taken deep in defence. And that's by War. Got good distance with it too. Kicked it to the wing. Kretschmer, Chiggy, that was a bit tough for him. Look at that. Pack tackle there, won by Williams, and just also just for interest's sake by Robert West, who got a hand or a glove to him. And Chiggy gets the free kick, rewarded for his courage. He's a very good captain, an excellent player. Rouvray, almost in the centre square here at Football Park. Paul Rouvray, 55, 60 metres, pack develops. Bartlett, one of those in front. Eventually, Simons tries to flick out a hand pass. No one there, though. Foster, all Port Adelaide in that back pocket. Now Lees, one of their star recruits, playing at centre-half back, kicks it to his centre-half forward, Darren Smith. Hasn't he torn teams apart in the past? Had a stint with the Crows as well. War, half volleys, does very well. Accelerates away. Brilliant work by the big man. Good kick to right half forward. Up they go. West no mark. And eventually Binky gets it across to northeast, and he'll clear it away toward the wing.
A little familiar on that awkward fashion, but smashed away in the middle. Rouvray a chance. Port Adelaide now a chance with numbers. West can't get it away. The tackling from Glenelg's been great. Well done in the middle. Just stalled it, did Chigwidden. Gets his face pushed into the dirt for his trouble, but he stalled that movement from Stephen Carter. Stopped it dead in the middle of the ground and gave the Tigers another chance. 32, nearly 33 minutes into the second quarter. 10-6 to 4-4. Here they go again. Held without possession was Bailey. They're getting first dibs at the ball at the moment. The Tigers giving themselves every chance. And Bailey, who I don't think is 100% fit, has pinpointed that one and given Strooper a chance. Now, I know one thing about him. He can kick the ball a long way. Bailey has 17 possessions. Chigwidden has 21. Do you mind to half-time? Still got a few minutes to run.
Gee.
Kretschmer's had plenty. McGuinness has had plenty. And to coin a phrase, they're cutting Port Adelaide to pieces.
And this man's played 81 AFL games. They've got it all going for them, haven't they?
Gets pretty close to the man on the mark. Well, they told me he could kick anyway. There it goes sailing over the boundary line, 25 metres around from the point post. Thanks, David. Out of bounds on the full.
Yeah, but if you don't wrap them up, they kick them from about 90. Oh well. I think this might be Darcy, is it? Anthony Darcy kicks to the wing, far side, not quite to the wing. Waterhouse. Oh, here's a chance now. McGuinness. High kick to the square. Caldo delights a goal. Shepherding. Excellent goal by Glenelg. We'll just check that player. Caldo did the work in the goal square. 11-6 to 4-4. 72-28.
Not a bad piece of work on the far side. Looked like McGuinness from one step, I think, as he thumped it forward. It was a great piece of work by Caldo, wasn't it? And Roger just couldn't get access to that footy. And so we're back in the middle. What a runaway. They're blitzing them, the Tigers. 11-6 to 4-4. And we're nearly 35 minutes into this term, but you can expect us to go for a few more minutes, I would imagine. 2 stretcher jobs and 8 goals is going to amount to a pretty long quarter.
44 points the margin, Stephen.
Can Port Adelaide bring it back?
Well, you wouldn't say no, but boy, oh boy, with Hutton and Hodges off the ground, and with Glenelg playing so well, I mean, I can't see them getting back, but Port Adelaide have done it before.
They have. They just don't look quite right. Well, we've got the 35 minutes, and they've called it quits. ABC Sport bringing you this remarkable game of football at halftime. It's 11-6, 72, a big margin. And at the moment, Glenelg sitting well in front, 11-6 to 4-4. And Roger Delaney, well, I guess he's looking somewhat perplexed.
Yeah, 44 points the margin, Stephen. A quick wrap.
I'm glad you did the maths. I couldn't quite work it out in a flash there. A quick wrap is that Glenelg are first to the ball. They're giving themselves the best chance by being first at the ball. They're carrying the ball well. They're prepared to chip it around. When they find a free one, they run it well. And I think the impressive thing about them at the moment is that they're very quick to tackle. You mentioned it halfway through that term. They're very quick to tackle, very quick to put the pressure on Port Adelaide, who seemingly, it's just hard to measure them at the moment, whether or not they're on song or off song, or whether Glenelg have been so very good. That's the hard thing to judge just at the moment. So here we are at Football Park. We've got 44 points of difference. The Tigers are well in front, 11-6 to 4-4, and we're on ABC Sport.
So the start of the second half, and what a crucial second half this is for Port Adelaide. Opportunity now for Waterhouse, who's not hard to pick up. He's a blonde, he's not all that tall, but he's got flowing locks for Port Adelaide. Big margin, 44 points. And if you've just joined us, Hodges and Hutton both in hospital. Hodges with a broken ankle and Hutton with a dislocated elbow. Chance for Chigwidden, caught. And the free kick is going to the Glenelg skipper, who's been around for a long time. Chigwidden's kick is a good one, and a very strong mark there taken by West.
Been solid, hasn't he? Gives it off to Hill, playing at centre field tonight. He's done a terrific job in that position. Dropping back underneath it was Rouvray. He missed the ball. Buttering up now, Bartlett. He's had a huge pre-season. He's showing the benefit, the big man. They're putting big raps on him. He's not letting them down. And Bartlett puts through Glenelg's 12th goal. They go to 12-6. Port are 4-4.
Not much stuff here with our ears, Dennis, and our apologies. Would you believe we're all on different headphones?
The first minute of the game, and have a look how easy Bartlett did that. No Port Adelaide player really made any attempt whatsoever. He did it too easy, and that's not good. Yes, well, back of the bounce now. Glenelg now 12-8-78, 12-6-78 to Port Adelaide 4-4-28. And the Magpies better do something very quickly to get back into this game.
And they're without their full forward. Scott Hodges gone to hospital with a broken ankle. He'll be missing for some 8 or 9 weeks, so bad news for Magpie fans. And Scotty was looking in terrific condition. Look at the ferocity of the Glenelg players. Chigwidden leading the charge. The first man ever to win 4 best and fairest at Glenelg. And he's had some fair contemporaries to beat too, by the way. Kernahan had 3 best and fairest. So too McDermott, Carey, Corns and Hodgman. But Chigwidden, amongst that stellar group, the only man to win 4. Good tackle, D. Smith on Visca. And it's a ball up. So Port Adelaide at half-time regrouped John Cale said he wanted some aggression in his forward lines. He's moved Anthony Darcy back to the centre and told Darcy to play forward and kick some goals. So they're looking for some drive from midfield. That's clearly the area they've been beaten. McGuinness, who's been a star tonight, gives it back to Kretschmer. Welcome back, Kretschmer. Over the top of the ball, crashing through and doing it well. Binky, now Ginniver. A tackle too high. It's a free kick, says the umpire. And Glenelg pick up another free kick, this time going to Hallahan. Back from Victor Harbour. He played in 2 premierships down there. Thinned down to come back to Glenelg. And starring also tonight. West hands it off, but it's intercepted there by Waterhouse. A high ball to midfield. Underneath this one, Brett Dean had visions of leaving the club over the summer, but Glenn Elliott forced him to stay almost. This is Malacallis. A high ball to Darren Smith, moving around and giving a target in front of Redshaw.
So Darren Smith, way too far out to score. He's about 85 metres from goal, gets pretty good distance with that. Just inside the 50, or just outside the 50, and Hamilton wraps it up. Hamilton staying on the western side. Back to the wing. West has got his eyes on it, but Darren Smith in front. Feeds the hand pass to Malacallis. Look at the speed of the little rover. Malacallis from about 75 metres out, and the shepherding down there by Ryan. Not successful, though. It goes through for a behind.
Port Adelaide, the mighty Magpies are going to get back into this one. They really need to get more drive from Williams and Ginniver, and Darren Smith needs to pop up a lot more often.
This is Kretschmer. Missed most of 94 with an eye injury. And it really took the wind out of Glenelg's on-ballers' vision. It hurt them. Chigwidden, dominant player tonight. He's open 95 like he left off in 94. Short over the top to McGuinness. A powerful running player. He's so very fit. He can tear sides apart if he just wants to run. 20 kicks. 25 possessions. It's a beautiful ball. It's a long ball. Under it, McCulley. Man at the front. He took it, the big man. They're running. Look at them go. Hallahan. How could they leave him in the wilderness for 2 years? He's starring tonight. Caldo couldn't gather it in. Cleverly done, Roger the Dodger. Back to Carter. They've gang tackled him, but Carter got taken high, or did he? No. It's a Glenelg free kick. Rouvray into the open goal. What a cakewalk. Glenelg 13-6. Port Adelaide 4-5. What a boil over in round 1.
Have a look at this. Dave Mackay's caught it correctly. And look at the intensity of the Glenelg players at the moment. Rouvray is done well, dropped out of a little bit, but come in. Roger tapped it on, couldn't get hold of it. And Bailey in there, Caldo in there fighting, and Rouvray's just run up and kicked through. Glenelg's 13th goal.
So it's a thrashing here. Rouvray gets his first. And if you've just joined us, it's 13-6 to 4-5. Can you believe it? Similar scoreline to a game similar last year when Port Adelaide took on Glenelg at the Bay. Rubinick, but it was the other way round. The Magpies killed them by about 20-odd goals. Heel, Chigwidden over his head, tried to stretch there, couldn't to do so. Mead gets it to R. Smith, who chips in forward, and he's found Ryan. Hocking right behind him, and Hocking didn't play last year, troubled with injuries.
A back injury kept him out all year, and the young fella's beefed up, and he's done a terrific job tonight. He's hurt his opposition player, particularly in Hodges the first half. Then he just lumbered in at Ryan.
So he's got some big shoes to fill, hasn't he, Ryan, with Hodges off. And there's the big man's kick, and he's threaded it through. A much-needed goal to Port Adelaide, and that was Ryan's first.
He played 9 goals last year, Ryan, and didn't kick a goal, so he started the year in fine style, but it might be just a little too late.
Well, he's had a big task with McCulley and Ruck to start with, and it's amazing how costly a mistake can be, and Chigwidden caught underneath the ball, down in the centre line there, didn't back into it, and Ryan, right over the top of it, made no mistake.
At the bounce. McCulley couldn't get to the contest. Mead's been brought from defence into the ruck. Crashing through Brian Leaves. They haven't really seen the aggression from Leaves that they would have seen, like to have seen. D. Smith, a good mark on the 50-metre line. He looked to play on quickly. On the left boot, he's got options. Malacallis under at Waterhouse. He went without the ball. Now recovers. Handballs off. Kretschmer, slick handballs through to Hamilton. He gets it in turn to McGuinness, who had an airy. This is Kretschmer again doing the heavy work. Off it goes to Grant Rubinick, the back pocket player. The blonde, the dasher. To half forward he goes, a high ball west, and nobody could mark that. Carter, a solid player drafted by Essendon, opted not to go. This is Lees chipping short to northeast. This heralded half-back line has been slaughtered tonight. Northeast short to Ginnivan, one of the best in the grand final last year. Feeds it back. Binky running solidly. He's been a good player. Pedler, who spent the first half on the interchange bench, gets a kick away, but it's intercepted by Hamilton. He's pushed off the ball beautifully. Well done, Williams, around the corner, a snap. It's a point. So Glenelg, when they least expect it, Stephen Williams pops up and creates something.
Always creates something. He's got that experience, but then I would have thought he would have brought it back to the head of the square, as we saw Glenelg do a bit earlier.
48 points, this massive margin. There's McCulley with the gloves. Hallahan, who's, as David said, has done very well. Good kick towards centre-half forward, and a fine mark taken by Carter at centre-half back for the Magpies.
Quality player, Mark, isn't he?
Excellent player as Carter. Swings it straight down the middle. Darren Smith, now McLeod, who's a very good player. He's in the Crow squad. High kick by West. An up and under. Awkward one. Tough bounce for most, not for Rouvray though. Read it superbly. Then swings onto the left boot, around the outer wing. There's a whistle, and I get the feeling it's going to be a Glenelg free kick. It is to Bartlett, who gets on with it in a hurry, and then bangs it toward West down there, but the mark is taken by Mead. They're two outing him, and Mead is able to hand pass it to Carter, and Port Adelaide out of trouble.
Carter and Mead are the only two players running from Port Adelaide's defence. Ginnivan is back there giving them a hand. Feeds it off to Lees. He hasn't been mobile enough. Now he's moving it on. Binky has done okay for a rookie. Waterhouse feeds it inboard to Pedler. They're under pressure. Port Adelaide, they go forward, and it's a mark. It's taken forward. The new boy, Anthony Darcy. Now, John Cale at half-time told him to go to the centre and play forward and kick some goals. And that's exactly what he's done on this occasion. He's drifted down 20 metres out. And he misses. Well, what a miss too. A vital goal for Port Adelaide. They needed something there, and he couldn't put it through from 20 metres out. The margin's 47 points.
13-6 to 5-7. Sorry, Michael.
And John Simon's just coming onto the ground, and Redshaw having a rest.
So under enormous duress here, the Magpies, as Hocking, Rouvray in front, Mead at the back spoiling well, Visca, good rebounding work into the centre. Chance for Bartlett. Look at Chigwin grab the footy and run. He runs at 20 metres and then bangs it toward goal, and he has hit the post. Big build-up.
Talk about build-up, Mark. The Glenelg Football Club are doing what every football club should do. Every time there's a contest in the air, they are in the front and getting every crumb.
Chigwin, also the best team man in '94. He scooped the pool, really. Club skipper. Now forward it goes, Lees. This is better from the former Richmond player. Gives it off to McLeod, the new Crow. They traded Chris Groom for him. Will he be worth it? Oh, he held his nerve. He stayed over the top of the ball, and he won a free kick. He was taken high.
Well, he was on the ground. Let's have a look at this. He's gone down. Well, I wouldn't have paid it, but Visca, tough player.
The man playing the ball was awarded the free. McLeod to the point of the square. Big fly, Pedler. Missed it out the back door. It goes. Oh, well done, War. I like the cut of this young fella. He looks the goods to me.
He certainly can play. Beautiful left footer. Disposal very good, and nothing going right for Port Adelaide at all. At the back of the pack, I think it was Smith. Ball went through his legs.
Yes, War from the Geelong reserves. Rouvray again, who's getting a few touches now. Kretschmer, who got a lot of touches in the first half, was very good. Up in front, Mead, and he's a very good player, Mead. West bangs it in toward well inside 50. McCulley, look at the height down there. Hamilton out wide, and it stays in play. Doesn't look unlike Hocking, does he, Simons? Over the top to Hallahan, who was blistering in the first 10 minutes. Right up in front there, Binky. Again, Chigwin. Quick hands, brilliant hands to Bailey, who we don't think's 100% fit, but he has hit the post. Well, he's hit the post like his skipper did only moments ago.
Bailey, 18 touches just after half-time. He's playing a pivotal role in Glenelg at the moment. And again, we see Chigwin doing the crumbing. Not a bad effort, I guess, David, if he's not 100% fit for those amount of touches by Bailey.
Well, let me say that Glenelg will tell you it's the first pre-season he's done. Now, Robbie West watching. For a rover, he kicks the ball and then stops. And, Michael, I think you'd suggest that a rover should be kicking the ball and running on to the next contest. And maybe that's one of the reasons that Footscray and the West Coast didn't want him. I've just noticed it's a weakness in his game. He kicks the ball and stops.
Well, if you want to play and you want to win, you've got to get numbers to the fall of the ball, and your job's not done.
War from defence. High ball. West, a big fly. 2 bites of the cherry. He claims it, but played on. Gives it off to Bartlett. A high ball to half forward. Heel caught under it with Geneva. Geneva, superior strength. Oh, Bailey showed good courage. Off it goes now, out the back door. Well done, Dean. Gives it off to Chigwin round the corner. Caldo's got it. Well, he was playing in front of Roger Delaney, and that's all that counted. And the full forward from Morwell in Victoria, who had a very slow start to the season last year, but really did dominate the latter half. In fact, he kicked 8 goals against North Adelaide late in the season to stamp himself as a full forward. And he has 3 already tonight. This will be his 4th.
Well, as you called it, Dean Caldo, good start to the season. And again, who would get hold of it but Nick Chigwitten, the captain. And as we have a look at it, ever elusive, gets the ball. Beautiful handball by Dean. He's picked his eyes up and seen him running on. Lucky kick, one would say, but playing in front, that's all that matters. And Chigwitten round the corner, and as we look, Chigwitten 13 handballs and 12 kicks to date. A great skipper's effort.
54 points, the margin. Good goal by Caldo, 14-8 to 5-8, if you've just joined us. That score is right. And the Bays with a mighty lead. And Scott Hodges and David Hutton both in hospital. Hodges, we believe, with a broken ankle, and Hutton with a dislocated elbow. Terrible news for the Magpies. It goes without saying. They're 2 wonderful players. Here's Dean, got it from Kretschmer, and then he goes more central up toward Caldo. At the back is Delaney. Good spoil, good discipline work. Carter from centre half back up towards Smith. What a mark at the back there by War. And David, you mentioned you like him. He's pretty impressive, isn't he?
He's a dasher. He's got good hands overhead. And the thing I like about him, his disposal is pinpoint perfect, as was that kick from Dean to Caldo. And Caldo marks 35 metres out. The angle is tight.
Well, there's nothing you can do about that if you're a full-back and the ball's delivered like that and he plays in front. That's a good grab. Ball in front, 1 grab, and looking to kick number 5.
How many years has Delaney got, Michael?
Well, last year, you know, they said too slow, too old, but he's a great player. I'd say at least another 2.
Dean Caldwell, 2nd year of his contract with the Bays, drifts it off to the right. It's a behind. He's kicked 4 goals, 3.
93 to 38, 14-9 to 5 goals, 8, 15 minutes gone. And it's an out of sorts Port Adelaide unit at the moment. Up goes Hamilton. Waterhouse, who looks pretty good. Not hard to pick up. War with him, so 2 new players. One's a local, one comes from interstate. And then Waterhouse ran into all sorts of trouble. Look at that by War, that was very good. And then by McGuinness, who bangs it toward right half forward. Hallahan's got it. That turnover quite superb by Glenelg. Hallahan goes in short laterally, and he's found Kretschmer. And Kretschmer, is he within kicking distance or not?
Well, he could kick it, but he will pass off, I'm sure.
There he goes. Well, he has, and he's gone about 15 metres to heel.
The thing about Glenelg, Mark, if you look at them, they didn't have Jared Hocking at all last year. They hardly had Alan Bartlett. He broke a leg. Lyndon Bowe had a knee reconstruction. Kretschmer was out with an eye injury. Now, on top of that, they'll get Visca back for a good deal of the year. Maybe Chris McDermott, maybe Tony Hall occasionally. And Paul Rouvray had a knee reconstruction. So, apart from the players they've recruited, oh, that's a great kick. That's a great kick, heel. Right through the middle, 15 goals up to Glenelg. And I was about to say, apart from the players they've recruited, they've got all these players back from injury that were unavailable last year, and they don't have to acclimatise them to the club.
They look all right, don't they? And, Michael, they looked all right before Hutton and Hodges went off.
Oh, they've been playing superb football all night tonight. They've totally outclassed Port Adelaide, and really, I haven't seen a Port side get outclassed like this for a long time.
Well, have a look at the stats. Port Adelaide 112, 142 Glenelg. 50-50 balls in the air. Handballs, surely we know that Glenelg are ahead there. And frees are pretty even. But out of the centre is where Glenelg are winning at 19 to 14. And yet again they do it. McCulley thumps it forward. This is Bartlett, a hurried kick. Out of space it goes. Brett Dean. They've got numbers forward, Glenelg, and they're reaping the rewards. But now they're crowding their forward line. Now that hasn't been the case in the first half. It's worked for them this time.
Shep. Oh, in the back, yep.
Yeah, there was a push and a mark, so take your pick. West took the mark, but Caldow got the push in the back. Roger Delaney just pushed him out of that contest. But you've got to say Caldow was shepherding off Roger Delaney and did it beautifully.
Well, playing smart football, and that's what we don't see enough. And when there's a contest, when you can create a non-contest, players that aren't going to get the ball should do that more often, and Dean Cowdo done it to perfection.
We did it in the first term the same way, and now he goes for goal. 5 goals, 3 Cowdo. A productive effort from full forward. Glenelg looking remarkably vibrant as they're running forward and keeping running.
Well, that's what happens when you're confident, when you're controlling the football. Everyone just gains in confidence, and the runners just keep running. You back up, and that's what they're doing from the back line right up until the forward line. It's not only their on-ballers, but their back line are creating so much for them and not giving the Port Adelaide forward lines anything.
Cowdo 5 goals, 3. Played 3 times last year, these two sides, and played each other 3 times, and Port Adelaide won twice, Glenelg once. Almost the mark. Has it been paid? It has, or not? Yes, it has, and West has got it 35 metres out.
And those 3 times in the opening round 5, Glenelg won by 16 points, but then Port came back in round 15 and won by 132 points at Glenelg and kicked Glenelg off the ground on their home ground. And then in round 25 they went down to Alberton, where the Magpies won by 19.
So here's West directly in front, 50 metres out. Oh, good kick, Jimmy West. Good kick, Jay West. First goal for the night. It's 17-9 to 5-8. Glenelg in front, 19 minutes gone, third quarter.
Well, when you're on a roll, you're definitely on a roll, and Jim West playing in front, that's the most important thing. Was probably lucky. He did control it, but as soon as he went to ground, it spilled. But that is a good kick, a 50-metre kick, and Jimmy West has been a focal point for him.
Redshaw on the boundary line. Started the game at centre-half back, did a pretty fair job just standing there, warming up. Jim West, I'm told, was one of the players instrumental in Cowdo coming forward late in the season. He said just attack every ball, and was a forward line leader, West, paying dividends. War again over the top of that, did well to hold his ground. A push in the back by Rouvray on D. Smith. Rouvray's gone to centre-half back, it would appear. The long ball in. Oh, Ryan went 3 deep. Didn't get near the ball. Bailey over the top of it. Jennifer fighting hard. Bailey dives on it, nose down into the turf, and it's a bounce.
Well, full credit to the Tigers at the moment. They're just not letting Port Adelaide get any play going whatsoever.
There's no flow, is there?
Nothing.
73 points, the Bays lead. So if you back the Bays tonight, congratulations. I think you might be on a winner. If you back them for the premiership, well, it's a bit early, but you might have got a reasonable price.
Yep, I did.
Evens Port Adelaide, I think, for the premiership. That was offline to the left. Evens Port Adelaide. Now,
8-1 Glenelg as of yesterday.
Well, now Port Adelaide without Hodges, and let's not get carried away for heaven's sake, but without Hodges for a while, I mean, he is the key, and I think, as Stephen said, he's the best, arguably the best forward in the. Well, he is the best forward in the competition.
I take your point, but Tyler kicked 100 odd the year before when Hodges wasn't available, so let's take nothing away from Port Adelaide. They've got plenty of options. They'll recover from that. And Scott Hodges, I must say, I saw him at training during the week. He's looking the best I've seen him in a pre-season ever. This is the wonderful skills of Phil McGuinness, driving it forward. He pirouetted out, gave it off to Hallahan, and look at the run of Heel. They've got runners everywhere from midfield. Heel was decked, but he still gets the goal. It won't matter. And Glenelg 18-9, 117 lead. Port Adelaide 5-9, 39. Yes, the scoreboard drill. And look at the presence of Bartlett.
Great work by McGuinness, as David's called it. Hallahan creating something up there, and Hill, the runners have happened all day, and
Carter picked him off.
Yeah, not a lot in it. He probably could have hit him just slightly late, but all that matters is Glenelg's got number 18 on the board.
McCulley off, and Tony Redshaw comes on.
Redshaw versatile. He can play at centre-half back, centre-half forward, or in the ruck.
18-9 to 5-9. Yes, that score is correct, and Glenelg enjoying a big night out. Hallahan kicks to Cowdo on his chest.
Well, I ask you, Michael, how can Glenelg leave Paul Hallahan dying at Victor Harbour when he can produce this sort of football? Why would Mark Williams throw him on the scrap heap like that?
Well, it happens, David. Some coaches obviously think more of some players than others do, and great credit to Hallahan coming back. He had something to prove. He's come back and fired tonight.
5 goals to Caldo, 1 in the first and 4 big ones in the second. There's the kick. Bang, straight through. Another one. Another one.
Number 6.
6. Yes, 1 in the first, 2 in the second, and 3 in the third. It's a bit more accurate.
Chig Whitten doing all the work in close as usual. Interesting to note that Roger Delaney seems to back himself just a little bit too often and plays behind the full forward, and it's happened time and time again that Caldo's been in front, the ball's dropped short, and he's got everyone.
It's just a metre too fast for him, isn't he?
Well, I said it last year, if Glenelg wanted to attack, there's very few sides that can kick 20-plus goals and beat them, and that's what they've done tonight. It's been all-out attack. Make no mistake, there's been very little real defence. They've just attacked from defence, and I suppose that's the best form anyway, but the point I make is they've just gone full throttle forward at every opportunity. Now watch Robbie West. Kicks it and stops. That's something John Cale will need to have a look at. Now Mead, gone from defence up forward. They're trying to get some bite in their forward line, some aggression. Oh, it's a good kick to Pedler, and Pedler takes a fingertipper, or did he? Did it hit the deck? Oh, okay. The umpire hasn't got the benefit of a slow motion replay. And he paid the mark. 23.5 minutes gone into the third term. A training run almost by Glenelg, but they can't get carried away with this. Oh, and Pedler, a specialist forward, misses to the right.
That epitomises the way they're going, Michael, doesn't it?
It does, and everything not going right, but umpire not in a good position there, just paid the benefit of the doubt.
Hocking drives very long to the half-back flank. At the back, no mark taken down there by Big Strooper, who's on the ground. The Magpies go into attack again. Melakillis trying to get a hand to it. Did get a fingertip to the football, but it is over the line in the right forward pocket.
Be very interesting to see at the end of the day the stats from the Glenelg on-ballers compared to the Port Adelaide.
Very good point. I think they'll win handsomely in that department. Redshaw thumps it defensively. Down it goes Rubenik. Pirouettes around, just chips it up short. Underneath it, Strooper, the new recruit from St Kilda and the Swans. He looks a bit of a dasher. Going forward into space. Chig Whitten, first man there, hasn't he covered some ground? A handball wide into space, going through with Simons. He left behind the ball. Northeast got it off to Stephen Williams. He was decapitated. Play on, said the umpire. Phil McGuinness around the corner, finds space. Look at this. Jim West. They've got runners everywhere. Well done on that occasion, Ginniver. He just held West in. Going forward, Caldow. Oh, he did well. He could have killed Heel, but flew right over the top of him. Darcy appears to be playing in defence now. He was moved to the centre at half-time, or back to the centre. Oh, West. Big mark, Robbie West. Plays on quickly, gives it off to Darcy. Darcy has to give it away. He was beautifully tackled. Hallahan. What a recruit this fellow is. A recruit who goes to the country. He's played over 100 games. And what a super mark this by Robbie West.
Yes, way over the top, and that was Darcy to West, so two of the recruits doing very well there. Up into Caldo territory, whistle blows, umpire says it's a free kick, and it's going back, you would think, to Caldo, and he's going to shoot David for what, his 7th. He's got 6.
Well, the thing about Glenelg, most of the night they've played Caldo up forward by himself. They've had a forward pocket rover looming, so anything that he hasn't marked has come to ground, and they've looked for the rover to pick up the crumbs, so they've given him plenty of space to work with.
Well, Roger just getting a little frustrated there. 9 kicks, 5 marks, 1 handball, 6 goals to Dean Caldo. Gee whiz, fella, you've done your job tonight. You'll certainly sleep well. Directly in front, straight through the middle. The umpire just bends the neck and the ball goes over his hat. So another one to Caldo. 29 to 5-10. 7 goals to the full forward.
I like the definition of Caldo. He came to the club last year. He didn't do all the pre-season work. He was a little underdone physically. Oh, and Roger just gave him an earring. Pierced his ear for him. Well, that's a reminder. This game is lost, but you're going to play us again another 2 times this year. And I'm coming to get you. Remember me.
It's 29 to 5-10. And the Bays have been whipped into a frenzy here, and they're really enjoying this Friday night football match on ABC TV Sport. And if you're a Bays supporter, we hope you're enjoying the telecast. If you're a Magpie supporter, well, you'll live to fight another day, we know that. Up they go, War at the back. Strooper in front. There's a high tackle, no doubt about it. The advantage is paid. Kick down ground, no mark to Chigwidden. Picked up by Darcy, I think that might have been, for Port Adelaide. And Heel in front of the members here. And he gets himself a 25-metre penalty.
Yep.
Just a little late, Waterhouse there. And Heel comes now down to about 85 metres out. He chips short Strooper, who, as I mentioned earlier, I interviewed him today for TV News, and he said, well, I'm not fit. I'll probably start on the bench, which he did. He's come on, he's done some good things. Kicked a goal. There's the hand pass by Kretschmer and Strooper. Big kick by David Strooper. Well, second goal to Strooper. 21-9 to 5-10.
If you have a look at the work, he created this, chips it off, runs forward, and from 50 goes long. You're quite right, he's not entirely fit, but he doesn't carry a lot of weight, and it won't take him very long at all to get fit. He's a racing greyhound. In fact, by AFL standards, they'd consider him perhaps too small for a key position, and he wasn't quick enough for a running player, so hence the reason he finds himself in South Australia. But he'd be a valuable pickup for the Bays.
135 to 40. It's been a cakewalk, hasn't it? 28 minutes gone in the third quarter, and without sounding monotonous, if you have just joined us, Scotty Hodges has, we believe, a broken ankle, and David Hutton a dislocated elbow, both in hospital. Rowan Smith, a belated goal perhaps for Port Adelaide. Yes, sirree. Good work by Mead in the goal square, and the crowd erupts, but David, they haven't been doing too much of that over the last hour or so.
Well, I'm just trying to work out, Rowan Smith kicked only 13 goals last year from his wing. He played 23 games. Now, that's a poor season by his standard, and we're used to seeing him come off the wing, create space at half forward, run through. Now, that one was 50 metres out on the left boot. Terrific skills. But I think he needs to kick more goals, Rowan Smith. He needs to get back to saying, I'm going to kick 1.5 or 2 goals a game from a wing. And I think if he can do that, Port Adelaide will be a much more efficient machine.
Well, particularly now with Hutton out for a number of weeks. 21-9 to 6-10.
He's a goal-scoring wingman.
Yes, 21-9 to 6-10.
And wasn't it David Hutton who broke his leg last year?
Or the year before, was it?
Well, hasn't he had a couple of horrible years?
Terrible, absolutely terrible. This will be a night he won't want to remember, or Scott. But Port have been known to lift during adversity. They're not doing it tonight. I mean, they're trying hard here, but they're not going to get back into this. But they'll be there come September, October. Make no mistake about that. I think that's Rubenik. Yes, it is. And Rubenik was knocked from pillar to post there, but eventually got the kick to the half-back flank. Here's Kretschmer, just wanting a handle on the footy, and eventually gets it. Now runs past us in the commentary position. Loses it. Over the top, though. Did well. Simons. This is Tony's brother, John. Short kick. Caldo the target. Knocked away from him, out of bounds. Good build-up again, David.
Yes, that's what they're doing, but the wrong option was taken there. Caldo led to the dead pocket. He should know that Football Park, it's impossible to kick goals from that pocket. He really should have been leading out towards centre-half forward. And Simons took the option, staring him right in the face. Simons over the top, around the corner. Hallahan, a big player tonight, to the point of the square. Oh, don't tell me he's kicked that. That's impossible. Hallahan kicked that. That can't be done. And what a return to league football. What a return. 2 years in the wilderness at Victor Harbour. They pluck him back. Mark Williams leaves the club. He returns. He said he'd never play while Mark Williams was there. And what a recruit.
Well, 95 points this margin. Have another look at this. From, as David put it earlier, the dead pocket. And that is a special goal by Hallahan. And you can be pretty pleased about that.
Well, I've got to say to you, there's only 2 better goals I've seen on this ground. The 78 grand final, Rick Davies screwed one back into the wind and put it through from that pocket. And Tony Hall's running goal last year, a reverse punt.
In the state game.
In the state game against Victoria. They're the only 2 goals I've seen that are better than that. This is Stephen Williams through half forward. Mellicallis picking it up. Darcy, not a clean take. In fact, he took 4 tries at that one. He'll need to get that a bit better. Redshaw, a hurried handball. This is Rubenik. They're just crashing through the Tigers and killing them from defence. Best on ground, Chigwidden gives it off to Heel, a prominent player. Strooper, possessions. This is also easy for him. He must think South Australian football is a cakewalk, and into an open goal he goes. He's played a half of football and he's kicked 3 goals. The South Australian football to him can't be that hard.
Well, this is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. I took my contact lenses out because I thought I was seeing things at half-time, and it has just continued. This is David Strooper, and he's 30 metres out. He bangs another one through, and as David said, that was his 3rd goal. An outstanding performance for a man who said he wasn't fit. And Glenelg continue to go forward. Now, hello, who's coming off here? I think this is Kretschmer. Yes, Kretschmer's coming off, just out of frame at the moment. He is limping, and McCulley's about to come on. So they make a change, 23-9 to 6-10. It's a forced change, though, as Kretschmer limps off. Simons goes in hard. He's number 2. Also Bartlett there. And there's Kretschmer, who's had a ton of touches, David.
Well, you may as well bring him off. He's a little sore. He doesn't look too bad to me. He's had a wonderful night. 13 kicks, 14 handballs, 27 possessions. We're 32 minutes in to this term, by the way. And there's no point in risking him any further at this stage. Get him off the ground, ice him up, and keep him fresh for next week.
A lot of players around the football. And Glenelg with a mighty advantage. That's Redshaw at the back. Williams received it from Pedler. Now Waterhouse from 50 metres, left footer, straight down the middle. At the back is Mead. And also with him, it's a behind by the way, and also with him was Hocking. And we've already mentioned it, but Hocking injured last year, and I know the club are very excited about his prospects this year, David.
Well, the thing about a big fellow like Hocking is that he's growing, and his bones are soft, and it's really, I think he's broken a wrist, and he's had back trouble, he's had lots of problems, but the year off probably hasn't hurt him. He's solidified up. And Stephen Williams, the grand champion of Port Adelaide, on the left boot, goes goalward. He's kicked 3 goals, 2 now, Stephen Williams, the most dedicated at Port Adelaide last year, and in a club like Port Adelaide in a premiership year to win the most dedicated will give you an idea that at 33 years of age he's got a lot to offer.
258 games is Tony Simons. Well, what an initiation to AFL football, SANFL football coaching it has been for Tony. It's 3/4 time here. We'll get a quick couple of comments from David Mackay. 23-9, 147 to 6 goals, 12, and that scoreline is dead right, 48. So it's 147 to 48. The last term, and the margin
99 points, can you believe it?
99 points, and David Mackay, you've got a couple of extraordinary stats for us, and we'll get those from you in a moment. Yeah, there goes the whistle. What are those extraordinary stats?
I brushed off the cobwebs to 1938. That was the last time Port Adelaide conceded 12 goals in a quarter. It's 57 years since a Port Adelaide side conceded to anybody 12 goals in a quarter, and this Glenelg side, first game under Tony Simons, have done it.
Here's Chigwidden now receiving the hand pass, the skipper. Can he begin the last quarter with a goal? There's the kick, and there's a mark down ground. It's a bay mark, and it's been taken by Redshaw. And he decides to go towards centre half forward, and the mark has been taken by Jimmy West. He's running into the open goal, and he swings it through. Second goal, no, it was touched off the boot. So we were all excited about that, but touched off the boot. And West, well, he's a bit disappointed there, as you saw.
Well, I don't think Jimmy thought it was touched, and it was way back in 89 that Jim West kicked 60 goals and headed the goal kicking at Glenelg. And then he went off to the Sydney Swans. I think they ruined him. He came back an inferior player to the one that went away, and it's taken him really till now to get right back on top.
100 points, this massive margin. Bartlett kicks it out of mid-air. Rowan Smith, McGuinness with him. McGuinness gets in front. Good work, good pace. Tries to keep it in play and does so. And in the end, they turn it around. They've got a chance here, Port Adelaide, deep in defence. Rowan Smith over the top to Tony Malacallis. And Malacallis now runs through half-back, holding on. No, umpire didn't seem to think so. That was against Heel, nothing doing. Chance now for Chigwidden, caught though. Good work by Binky, the big man. Rowan Smith, Ginniver lost sight of it for a moment or so. It's hard and tough, very physical at the moment. And that's Robbie West, and there'll be a ball up.
A tired Tim Ginniver there looked at, I don't know who it was that gave him the handball, but set him up, and he wasn't very happy.
No, that's a skipper's prerogative. He's just letting the players know it's time for Tim Ginniver just to marshal his troops. It's McGuinness, the star. He's already picked up 32 possessions in this game. We're minutes into the final term. Hallahan's been very solid. So too's West. He ran back into the play then. He shouldn't do that. Now this is Strooper on the left boot. He went short. He was looking for Caldell, but at the back was Roger Delaney. Now if the pass had been a good one, Caldell was right in the box seat.
Would have had it, but Jimmy West, all he had to do was handball to Hallahan running through, and another major on the board.
Here's McGuinness. Outside of 50, takes a bounce, do you mind? Then got the hand pass away eventually. That was to War, I think that player was. Now Robbie West, who accelerates away through the centre. He's transported at 20 metres, then kicks at about 30. It comes off Hocking's knees. Opportunity now for Hamilton. He kicks it laterally, and it is going to drift over the line, half-back flank on this western side.
David, one thing that John Carl would be particularly worried about is his senior players really have gone missing tonight.
Yes, I think Port Adelaide and John Carl particularly pride themselves on winning the 50-50 ball, and it's fair to say that they haven't won any of them, or very few of them indeed. Over the top of it, Binky just kicks it forward in sheer desperation. Rubenik just inside the line. Well, did he carry it out? Yes, said the umpire, he did.
David, how difficult, and Michael, how difficult is it for a team, though, to get themselves organised with 4 or 5 new players?
Well, you've got to do it over the pre-season, and they've had, what, 3 or 4 games to do it, so Glenelg have done it to perfection, really, so
yes.
not difficult.
No, but Glenelg really have only assimilated 2 new players. Port Adelaide have got, what, 4, and it can make partial difference. Running through the centre, Visca, a long ball towards full forward, underneath it, West, backed into the pack, showed great courage. Hallahan went off the air and missed it. West was stripped. Oh, yes, the umpire saw it. Little Danny Cowell, the umpire. First game, fellas, by the way, and the umpire is a bar manager here at Football Park, so he knows his way around Footy Park pretty well.
Anything, does it?
Hey, there's something you didn't know.
I'm not buying into that one.
Well, you remember Danny Cowell because he's made a bit of an impact tonight. I think he's done a pretty fair job. Now this is West. West goes for goal, the big man. He had one touched off the boot moments ago. This one's a goal. It gives him 2 goals, 1 for the night. And you've got to say it's a pretty solid performance at centre-half forward.
Well, it has been a solid performance all round, and he's only kicked 2. It seems like he's kicked about 8, the way he's had control of the footy up forward today. But Glenelg, they've handballed off to 6 or 7 of their key players, and that's a clumsy tackle. And Jimmy West, well, he's done very well from him. They'll be looking, as I said earlier, for a big year up around the half-forward line.
2 goals to West, and if Glenelg continue in this vein, it'll be the highest margin that they've ever defeated Port Adelaide by in the history of the competition. I think Ian Mogridge giving us that detail, our statistician, earlier on. So they're just really rubbing salt into the wound here, Glenelg. Rouvray tried to get a kick away from the centre. Ginniver in the meantime kicks it away from the heart of Football Park down towards centre-half forward. 2-on-1 situation down there. Williams, one of the Port Adelaide players, he ties up the Bay player, and there'll be a ball up.
And Mark, attendance tonight, 12,589, a pretty good attendance. And Port Adelaide celebrating their 125th year this year. Not a good way to start it, but mind you, Glenelg are celebrating their 75th year as well. So a couple of big highlights for both clubs. This is War around the corner. His penetration and his disposal has been superb. That was a beauty.
And what about Tony Simons, the new coach? He's played in premierships, or he's played in a premiership, 225 odd games, coached at Victor Harbour for the last 2 years. He's come back and he's caned Port Adelaide. Unbelievable stuff. He's had a huge night.
Well, you can only say that his coaching job will get more difficult from here. Around the corner goes Malakalis on the left boot. A high ball, it's who wants it. Hamilton comes down with it, gives it off to Rouvray. He had a knee reconstruction too, by the way, last year, so he's another player back and doing pretty well. McLeod runs around in circles. He's done nothing tonight. Gives it off to Ginniver. Killed the skipper. He got a free kick for a push in the back.
I tell you what, though, Michael, they're there, aren't they? Glenelg are there. They're there in numbers.
They have, exactly. You said the key word, mate. They've been there in numbers, and we're talking about 4 or 5 each contest.
Well, I remember a grand final that Glenelg won in the mid-80s. Late in the game, Tony Simons ran down the wing and did a drop kick, and Graham Corns was ready to take him off the ground for doing it. So he's got plenty of confidence.
Here's Rubenik, and he tracks across in front of his own defensive goal. A little dangerous, but gee, they're certainly playing with an enormous amount of confidence. John Simons, the brother of Tony, out there having a good time as well. Up goes War, round the corner goes Rowan Smith, and as David mentioned, he's going to need to kick a few more goals this year. I think that was Hocking, or was it John Simons? I think it might have been Hocking. Ginniver, now Carter. And Carter from 75 metres out just kicked it to the wrong part of town, didn't he? Because Visca's down there. Wonder how many games he'll be playing for Glenelg this year. He is a Crow. Hallahan. Rouvray also a Crow. Here's Hocking again, and Hocking the full-back, just clearing it away from that dangerous back half.
Visca was very close to Crow's selection this week, I'm told, reliably. Last Strooper was run down. Now, that's what I'm talking about. He's not quick enough for the AFL Strooper, but he should survive here. Waterhouse clashed as he kicked that ball forward. Oh, well done. Ryan held his ground, kept his eye on the ball, spun around. Not easy to do when you're 6'6", 190 odd centimetres. He just turned around, eye on the ball, and a chest mark.
Well, he always was going to get it really. Hocking right underneath the play and running back, and did not know where the ball was. Turned around too late, and Ryan just sitting in the middle of the
So
square.
Ryan, who's gone to full forward and has kicked one already, gets his second. Now, I think we've already told you he didn't kick a goal at all last year, so he has two in the opening round of this year. But Port Adelaide wouldn't be too content with that anyway. They would much preferred Scott Hodges to have kicked a bag of 10 or 12.
Yes, an easy one there, and Hocking, quite rightly so, just a little disappointed, and it was well called by David. He just lost sight of it, and beautifully judged by Ryan.
Done a good job tonight, Hocking, hasn't he?
He sure has. He looks pretty mean too. 2 goals to Damien Ryan. Back in the centre, and this margin, well, there it is. You can see it for yourself. It's not hard to work out. It's 100 points. 24-10 to 7 goals, 12. 8.5 minutes, last quarter. First up game on ABC TV Sport for 1995 in the SANFL. Waterhouse, left foot around the corner. Williams, and also Rubinick. Hamilton. Mellikellis tries to body him out of it. He overruns it, Hamilton, in the end, and then he tackles Williams. And there'll be a ball up in the left forward pocket underneath the scoreboard.
Port fans aren't too happy there, Michael.
Well, you don't see it too often, do you, really? They've got smiles on their face normally all the time, but full credit to the Glenelg Footy Club.
Hallahan's been terrific, gives it around the corner to Rubinick. A high ball, who wants it? War did well, Pedler, just to push War out of the contest, and Tim Jinder thumps it across the line. And Michael, I was just looking at Stephen Williams a moment or two ago and thinking that he's 33 years of age. I think he's got some genes of Michael Tuck from Hawthorn. Michael went on to play till he was 36. Do you think Stephen will do that?
Well, if you're fit, and the most important thing is if you're enjoying it and you're mentally fit and happy to play, you just keep going.
Well, there he is again. Stephen Williams gives it off to Mellikellis. This is Mella 1 because we've got brother Spiro and Tony playing for Port Adelaide this year. Spiro's not out there tonight, and this is Anthony Darcy, the new recruit. Well, he started in the number 9 Guernsey. Guernsey that has a history of Anthony Williams and Mark Williams in recent years. They gave it to Scott Spalding last year. The jumper was ripped, and Darcy now playing in 42, kicks for goal from 45 metres out, directly in front, and he has missed. So that's 2 shots for goal, Michael, am I right? And they've both been very lazy kicks for goal.
Well, I think it tells a story. And
or is it Binky?
It is Binky.
I'm sorry, fellas.
They probably look the same.
Yeah, they do a bit, don't they? Well, it's early in the season. Commentators get better.
Rubinick gives it to McGuinness. In turn, he gives it to Hallahan, and now a chance for John Simons, who's having a reasonable night out after starting on the bench. Northeast over the football, so to McLeod. Foster had it ripped off him. Mellikellis, not quite the speed there, just got caught, forced the error. Oh, have a look at that. War just a little bit high. It was just a little bit high, wasn't he, on Robbie West?
Sin bin in rugby.
It's unbelievable stuff. Williams should kick this from 30 metres, and does so. 4th goal to S. Williams. Not too much to cheer about, the Magpie fans. 24-10, 8-13, 11 minutes last quarter.
Well, the 2 veterans combining there in the skipper and Stephen Williams, and Glenelg, well, may have slackened off a little bit, and you never do that to a Port side, regardless of whether they're 100 points down.
I don't think it'll make much difference now, though, Mike.
No, well, Port Adelaide are missing Darryl Wakelin, who went to St Kilda, Troy Hull, who's gone back to Port Lincoln, and Scott Spalding, who got engaged and disappeared off to Western Australia. Funny thing, love, it can ruin your football career. And this is Hallahan. Did well to give it off to John Simons. Now, don't think John Simons made this team because he's Tony's brother, by the way. He won the reserves best and fairest last year, and he's earned his spot in pre-season games. Oh, West, very solid, misses this time. But he's done everything else right tonight.
Well, it was this walk-up goal, really, only take another couple of steps, but what are we, 12 minutes into the final term? He could have put number 25 on the board.
That's easy when you're nimble like you, Michael. Like, I have empathy for Jim West, and that's not so easy.
94 points. Roger Delaney, who's a very stout defender. Just not having the best night tonight, but he's not Robinson Crusoe. Here's Darcy.
What do you think of his game?
Well, I think he'd be disappointed, but he'll bounce back. Darren Smith, now to Ryan, now to Waterhouse, who's an up-and-coming star, according to some down at Port Adelaide, but that one not particularly good by Waterhouse, number 41. Clive Waterhouse just erring, just a little bit too excited there. As soon as he kicked it, he realised that there was nothing much in that, out of bounds on the full.
Well, we've seen Port Adelaide with really no method whatsoever tonight, and that was a perfect example.
Indirect, weren't they? This is Redshaw, a high ball to the outer side. Carter sits underneath it. He's probably been Port Adelaide's best player, frankly, tonight. He's been pretty aggressive.
Well, he's had plenty of opportunity to get the pill.
Along with Tim Ginniver, maybe. This is Malakalis. Tries to run through a herd of players. Now, oh, Lees, where's he been? It's a half forward, a high one. He'll be a good recruit, though, don't get me wrong. And this fellow, geez, impressed. Only thing about him, I don't like his haircut. Scare anybody.
Give him a break.
No, he's a terrific kid. He really is solid. Oh, Rowan Smith, what about his haircut? Rowan bounds away inside 50. This is danger area for Rowan. He puts him through from here, and he has this one as well. Well, we talked about him earlier, not being a goal-kicking wingman, and he's kicked 2 tonight. Let's hope he can keep that average up this season.
Yes, well, he's not kicking them in the right part of the game, but ever elusive. And when he's on, he is a very fine player. But when you consider that the Tigers taken off McCulley just after half-time or going into the third quarter, and he was so dominant early and giving the rest of the guys, the Glenelg players, a go in ruck, well, they had the game in the bag.
88 points is the lead, and Port Adelaide, well, they're fighting back in this last quarter. They weren't going to lie down and die. They never do, the Magpies. There's Robbie West again, battling hard for the football. It's jarred free. Now, Malakalis up toward Visca. Chance now for Hamilton. Now Strooper, caught. Got it away to War. And as David pointed out, he's an impressive character. That was good work
now
too.
Look how he kicks the ball. He's hit the target every time tonight. Brilliant. That's the thing I like about him coming off a half-back flank.
Yes, Hallahan with a footy. Smack bang in the middle of Football Park. Big pack into the air. Up goes McCulley's gloves. There's Carter. Hand pass about 30 metres in front of himself. Smith. That was D. Smith to R. Smith. And now Rowan with a good-looking kick. Every chance. Up goes Waterhouse. Couldn't control it. Ginniver in trouble. Head first. Off the ground again. Deep into the pocket. And there'll be a throw in right forward pocket.
Terrific experience back there in defence. Glenelg just going for the safety of the boundary line. It was Visca. What does that say?
Just can't quite read that.
Tim Pfeiffer, that's the umpire tonight, the blonde umpire.
Supporter.
By a rule book, 10 cents it came up. Well, I think they're a little bit more expensive than that, but I think the Port Adelaide fans are making their point. This is Waterhouse to the point of the square. He did the right thing. Can Ryan mark it? Support comes from Darcy on the left boot, snaps around the corner, Darcy, and to the left. It's a behind. 9 goals, 14 Port Adelaide. Glenelg 24-11. We're 16 minutes into the final term, and Glenelg couldn't have been any more impressive tonight.
Yes, the margin 87 points. Rubenik. And now Hocking, who's done a mighty job. Up goes McCulley. And he's been paid the mark. What do you think of the gloves, David?
Well, I think he's handled the ball a bit better tonight than I've seen him for a fair part of last year, so if it helps him, why not?
Robbie West from centre wing, chips it up toward right half forward. The mark is taken by Waterhouse, getting a few touches late.
Yes, he hasn't done anything with them.
No. There's his kick, well inside 50. Up goes Ryan, got a hand to it. Just not bouncing all that kindly for him. Darcy got it away. Now Malakalis. Finally it ricochets to Heel. And Heel swings it back. Waterhouse again. Rowan Smith. Like chalk and cheese, those two, aren't they? And the kick by Rowan Smith is okay. It's found Darcy. No, it's not. It's Binky.
Yeah, you've made the same mistake that I did earlier. They do look very similar.
Very similar. I think, yeah, this is Binky, 42.
In that favourite pocket of yours, David?
very, very difficult to kick goals, although tonight, with the breeze dying, the wind has stopped. There was a breeze favouring the other end early in the night, but not now.
There's his kick. Well, he's done a good job. He's put it through. Must be the easy pocket, fellas.
Well, we all know in the middle of winter, when the wind's blowing, that it's nigh on impossible to kick them from there. In the summer, with no breeze at all, they seem to do it so easily.
Well, if they leave the lights on, fellas, we might get down and have a bit of a kick afterwards.
I tell you what, I feel like it. Couldn't wait for the footy season to start.
Well, I'm glad I never played SANFL footy, because I feel pretty fit at the moment.
Well, I've got to say, I'd last about 10 seconds out there at this stage, at this pace.
Here's Chiggy, and a good kick by Chigwidden over the back of Caldo. Can he try and pick it up at the back? No, Carter rebounding well. And the Magpies just under so much pressure, aren't they? Mellichellis arching the back, trying to pick up desperately. Carter's there. So too Simons, knocks it away into the pocket. That's the back pocket for Glenelg. There's McGuinness and also Rowan Smith, and there'll be some tired boys up after this match.
I'll tell you one player that doesn't look fit to me, Michael, is Tony Mellichellis. I remember the first 4 or 5 games he played last year. He burnt them. He just ripped them apart. But he hasn't had the sparkle. In fact, he looks just a fraction heavier to me.
Yes, and he's had 16 touches for the day, but you certainly look second-rate when Glenelg have controlled the ball that they have today.
McGuinness been pretty solid. Outside 50 is a prodigious kick. He'll look to pass it off. He does it beautifully. Out on the lead, Jim West. Now, West didn't get a goal in the first half, and he's had 5 shots for goal in the last 35 minutes of football.
Well, he's come good, but you say McGuinness has been solid, 38 touches for the day.
Yeah, you call it
not
solid.
a bad outing.
Yeah. You would. He's a terrific runner. And West goes goalward, gets the goal. That gives him 3 for the night. A pretty fair effort from centre-half forward. And Glenelg, 25-11, 161. Lead Port, 10 goals, 14, 74.
Well, James West, as we called it earlier, the Bays, in conjunction with Bartlett on the half-forward line, these two, if they can fire and create the ball and even bring it to the ground, the Bays, with their on-ballers, will give a few clubs some trouble. And look at the stats there. There we go. What, some 65 more kicks than the Magpies. And let's have a look at the handballs. Well, 14 more handballs.
Your mathematics is terrible.
So this Glenelg machine continues to run quite superbly. And a dream start for the Bays and their new coach. High kick by Bartlett. Redshaw at the back. Another player, Caldo, in front. That's Foster. Like a scalded rabbit, wasn't he? Just desperately trying to do something constructive with the footy. Northeast, who still has that awkward kicking style, but it was accurate and generally is. He is a very good defender. This is McLeod. I imagine Robert Shaw would be having a good look at him tonight too. He's in the Crows side and may have been close to selection for tomorrow night's semi. There's West again. Got a few touches, far side of the ground. Visca, another Crows player, boots it off the ground. Darcy, interstate visitor. Mellichellis, likewise, been at the club for a year. And eventually Waterhouse, but he keeps it in play, plays to the whistle. Hallahan, or was it? Yes, it was Hallahan. West again. And the Magpies, oh so slowly, gradually try and work it forward. Rubinick is there, so is Timmy Ginniver. I tell you what, David and Michael, I spoke to Tim today. I did an interview for TV News, and I said, "You confident?" And he looked me in the eye and he said, "Extremely." Now, how can you be so wrong? I know they've got 2 shocking injuries, but boy, oh boy, this is just quite extraordinary, isn't it?
Port Adelaide go into every game believing that they're going to win it, and that's part of their successful formula. And I don't think they were to know that Glenelg would come out and be as impressive as they have been tonight. They've just done everything right, Glenelg. They've run forward, they've had runners supporting each other, they've had movement at every line, and as they've kicked the ball, they've run forward. So they're just fresh. Now, I just wonder how long they can play this type of game, Glenelg, because it's going to take a lot of desperation, a lot of running, a lot of commitment by their midfielders.
Well, the midfielders are the key to the football match, and as you called it, it's a long season, so you've got to start well. You've got to get those 4 or 5 games in the bag so you can have that chance of in the top 3.
This is Stephen Williams going forward with a long ball. Ryan's up, got hands to it, couldn't bring it down. Well done, Jared Hocking, just paddled it out to Rubinick. Rubinick runs straight down the centre, drifts it off. Underneath this one, Bartlett, punched away by Lees. Now over the top of it, War did very well to get through traffic. That was a nice turn.
Clever.
Very clever. Now to Bartlett. What can the big fellow do? Booms one forward. He's a prodigious kick. A high ball underneath it. Mead dropped it. Carter desperately gathers it in one hand. Keeps going. He is a machine. West got one high. Kept going. Went through traffic. Northeast. Williams running more at the end of the game than he did at the start. He really is a freak. Now, loose ball. 50-50 ball. Waterhouse. Now, I said he didn't do much with his balls earlier, but in fairness to the lad, with his kicks, I meant. Sorry, fellas. But he has found the ball, and you've got to give him credit in that regard, is that he has found the ball, but not done a lot with it. Well, there's a Spoonerism, if ever there was one.
Anyway, 25-11 to 10-15, and confidence breeds confidence, doesn't it, Michael? It really does. You're pretty well finished now, are you, Michael? Well, that's terrific stuff. Anyway, Hocking, there's no point in asking you a question, is there? Go and have a lie down. Strooper, who has impressed, there's no doubt about it. McCulley bending the big back. Oh, cleverly done, well done. That was very, very persistent by McCulley. Visca over the head of his target down there. They storm after it. Who's that player?
Well done, Bartlett.
Now Delaney, and Rogers had a night he'd rather forget. Carter, there's Roger again. Good shot of him too. Gritting the teeth. Have a look at him, just persistent, personified there. Keep going, Roger. No, just couldn't quite keep it in. Bartlett got it around the corner. Well done by Hamilton, I think that might have been. Now Chiggy, surely a goal coming up now. McGuinness. Yes.
Well, you can put that goal down to Bartlett, who just kept at Roger Delaney. He dribbled it around the corner. Redshaw it was who thumped the ball to the open space, and McGuinness, the runner, was where a runner is supposed to be.
And as we've called it all night, the Tiger machine is persistent, and they've persisted all night. And when you do that, you're no doubt going to come out in front most of the time. As you called it there, Bartlett did it beautifully. Good work then by Redshaw, I think it was. Tapped it on, and McGuinness never going to miss it.
At the bounce, the margin back to 92 points in favour of Glenelg. Mead tries to crash through, wins the tap. It goes forward. Dean over the top of it. Now Rouvray. Handball's out. Now, is that West back there? I think it is. Gone to centre half back. This is Stephen Williams. A wide ball into space. Binky the target. Doesn't let him down. He's pretty impressive overhead, this young fellow. Now Rowan Smith. Short. Beautiful disposal. And under it, Waterhouse. And let's see what he can do with this. He's 55 metres out as he kicks for goal. He's had 11 kicks. Couple of marks. And he's kicked 2 behinds. Fair crowd tonight, 12,000 people have watched the rebirth of this Glenelg side. And you see what I mean about his disposal, fellas? That ball didn't get within 15 metres of the middle of the goals.
Well, I think he was pushing his luck to kick it from about 55 metres out. But then if you're going to have a shot for it and you're not going to make it, you pop it at the head of the square.
Spot on. And I think that's just a learning curve.
Hocking got about 55 metres with that. Up goes War. Geez, he's not hard to pick up either with the red hair. Port Adelaide once again inside 50. Darren Smith, just a bit slow. Tried to do too much there. Hocking, oh, here's a goal. Darren will get it anyway. Well, will he? Was it off his shin? Well, it won't matter. Yes, it was. So Darren gets the goal. Perhaps Darren Smith. There were 2 of them there. It's 26-11 to 10-15. And this game all but over. Dying stages of the very first match in the 1995 SANFL season.
Let's have a good look at this, and yes, Darren Smith's got it, and Mark Vista comes in and has his little chat. Don't know what he would have said there, but anyway, Darren Smith hasn't had the best of days, but still trying.
Well, I think there would have been a fair amount of sledging going on there. When you're on top, you give it to him. But Port Adelaide remember your next game, and let's not forget, Glenelg won the first match last year, and then they were walloped mid-season by Port Adelaide. Yeah. And the thing about this Port Adelaide side is that they don't forget. Malakalis back to Stephen Williams, picking up possession since going to centre. He's done a terrific job. Lees, how do you rate Lees, Michael?
Well, he started well early, but like most of the Port machine, they just haven't been in it.
Look at this.
And what about Darcy?
Yeah, Darcy will be a fair player. I think that you won't see too many games like this from the Port Adelaide Footy Club.
Hallahan wide to Chigwidden, punched away from Chiggy. It's across the line and out of play. Well, I suppose we should ask about Strooper for Glenelg.
Well, he's going to be a fair player, obviously underdone. He's kicked 3 in that third quarter where the Bays have kicked 12. not all that hard because the Bays just had full control of the play.
And you're comfortable with Rowan Waugh?
Rowan Waugh will be a very good play.
Number 23, I think you're right, his disposal is pinpoint. He just hits the man every time he gets the ball, and I like that in a half-back flanker. Darren Smith just a little slow, beautiful tackle applied by Bartlett. His game has been very solid. You couldn't give him any bigger raps than what he's earned.
Well, he's done the little things like you don't see a lot of big men doing, and not only that the Bartlett's done it, but nearly every player on the Bay side.
Actually, we've been kind to Tony Simons, but you look at Mark Williams last year and the injuries. I mean, West was out for a good part of the early part of the season. They didn't have Bartlett for the latter part of the season with a broken leg, and he finished 5th. So, you know, they've got the nucleus there, haven't they?
Got a lot of Glenelg players back too after Tony Simons was appointed. No, just a lot of Bay people, a lot of Glenelg people. I'm not reading anything into it.
No, let me share with you. The club told me during the week that they went from 1,900 members down to 1,200. Now, already this year, they're over 1,200. So there's a fair amount of optimism at Glenelg at the moment, and the members are returning. Here's
West now having a bounce and having a bit of a run down that outer side. Done his job. Dean, about, what is he, about 85, 90 metres out. Good kick.
Caldell.
He's too far out to score. The full forward, good kick to Hamilton. So they're really just playing around with him now.
Yeah, sorry, Mark. I was just about to say Caldell won't shoot for goal. And I cut across you, and I'm sorry. But that's exactly what he did. He just passed it off. Their team disciplines have been terrific. They've put the ball to the head of the square all night. When they haven't been able to make the distance, they've passed off. And we talked about Waterhouse at the other end, who should have done the same.
Here's Hamilton's kick late in this game, and he has shredded it through from about 45 metres. So he caps his game off with a goal late in the term, 27-11, plays 11-15, and we're approaching 29 minutes, Michael Aish.
Well, it would have been good. I'm sure Tony Simons would have liked to kick number 3-0 against the Port Machine, and Hamilton, normally half-back or a half-back, played some great games with the Essendon football. It's come over here and done very well.
Glenelg 27-11, Port 11-15. Welcome to 1995. What a footy season. AFL recruits abound in South Australia this year. They really have solidified up our local competition. There'll be some exciting prospects this season and some big games. This is Pedler. A long ball towards full forward. Oh, well done, Hocking. Used his bulk beautifully on Ryan and then punched the ball away. Rubenik steals it away, goes short. On the run, watch this, they've got runners everywhere. Heel feeds it off to Dean. He's a runner, a long ball, a long left foot, a beautifully weighted kick. And underneath this one, Hamilton feeds it off to another runner in Strooper. He tries to handball it. Lees did well, intercepted, goes for the boundary line and runs after the ball. And he shows enough Lees to suggest that he will hold down centre half back for Port Adelaide. The final siren's gone. The agony for John Cale is over. The ecstasy for Tony Simons as he wins his first game as coach of Glenelg. 27 goals 11, 173. Port Adelaide 11-15-81. The final margin 92 points. And welcome to SANFL football to Tony Simons.
Well, it's been a great start to the 1995 season, and especially for the Glenelg Football Club. Tragedy for the Port Adelaide Machine with Hutton going off, I think, just into that second term.
Could hardly be worse, could it? Well, you've got Hutton with a dislocated elbow. Scott Hodges goes off with a broken ankle. Now, both players could be expected to miss anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks.
And such an integral part in the machine, too. Across the centre line, you need that force that Hutton and the speed that he gives across that line. And, of course, Hodges, well, we know what type of player he is. And, well, the Port Machine will be very, very unhappy with today's performance. But when
all
you
is
look
not lost, though, Michael. They've still got Mark Tyler sitting in the reserves. He can come back to full forward and play that full forward position that's now vacated. Peter Carey and Max Maynard. Welcome back to the committee. And down on the boundary line is Stephen Trigg.
Yeah, thanks, DB. Nick Chigwitten with me. That is the best start for the season you could have hoped for.
Oh, yeah, it was fantastic. The boys were really tuned in and we really wanted it. And you could tell the boys were just at the ball 100%.
We expected to see a very attacking side. We saw that, but very surprised by such great defence.
Yeah, I think our tackling was a real strong point tonight. When they got the ball, they didn't really get a clean chance to get rid of it. And I think that helped us a lot with the turnovers and then attack, yeah.
And no passengers, but it's great to have someone up the front who kicks 7 or 8 as well.
Oh, it's fantastic. He's marking very well, and with support with Alan Bartlett and Westy there, it looks good up there.
And you did a fine job yourself. Well done. Go and celebrate.
Thanks a lot.